Is there any way that you can actually see how many people are actually watching? Is there a way to do that?
We talked to her, and Becky, she thinks there is, she's gonna let us know, but she's gonna she's watching it, gonna watch it today to see what kind of data she gets, but
And I'm assuming there's no public comment on it, or is there?
no,
Yeah.
no, I did ask her that.
We'll wait till John sits down and we'll stand up for the pledge. Maybe. All right, let's all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, like I said, we are being live recorded on YouTube now, so I appreciate if anybody in the public is watching that way, but you'd be more than welcome to come to our meetings. I will throw that invite out for anyone out there. All right, first on the agenda is Craig, Maintenance Department.
Afternoon. I got some quotes here for the UTV and snow blade attachment. First one is from Thornton's for UTV and snow blade. The total cost on that's $27,241.81. From Zimmer Tractor, this one's a Kubota. Total on that one's $27,499. Stones, they got two snow plows on there. For a V blade, it's $28,740. If you go with a straight plow, it's minus $1,000, so it'll be $27,740.
Who was that from?
Stones, Greensburg.
Okay.
On Target, the $31,295.95. If you want the navigation, radio, camera, and plow mode, you add an extra $4,000 onto that, would be a total of $35,295.95. And then the last one is from Osgood Power Equipment. The total on that one is $31,289.66.
And they all had enclosed cabs?
They all have cab. The only one that does not have heating and cooling would be the one from Osgood Power Equipment. They just have heating in that one.
Okay.
I don't think you need an air conditioner to push snow, though.
Yeah.
No, but are some of those belt driven and some like a regular hydrostatic transmission?
Truthfully, I don't know much about Polaris. I don't know if they're a belt or a hydrostat. I don't know.
It's belt driven.
Belt.
Polaris is. You might look at which one may hold up when you
Right.
get into pushing heavy ones. If the belt will slip, maybe they will do fine. I don't know.
Low gear, they're easy to change. I've changed them.
Yeah.
Are they hard door?
I would assume yes. Everything I've
windows.
looked at in buildings, they were all hard door with window cranks.
Was Thornton's a Honda?
I think they were Kawasaki. Thornton's was.
So you went and looked at all of these?
Yeah, Thornton's is a Kawasaki Ridge XR. I didn't look at the Kawasaki because it was in another building.
Right.
I kind of just got on the bike and stopped in and got the quotes when he was out.
So was there any of them that you liked better, that you think you liked better than the other ones? I know you said you didn't see that one, but
I know what Kubota can do. It pushes, it's got the power, it just 25 is your top speed. The other ones, I've never been in them. Couldn't
That's a
tell you
diesel?
nothing about them. Yeah.
I thought I heard that the Kubotas are not belt driven. Is that right? Does
I
anybody-
don't think they are.
No, Kubota's not built.
Hydrostatic transmission. I think.
better.
So, I mean, I don't think, we wasn't going to make a decision on this today, right? We were just kind of getting some numbers together.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. I mean, because there's the other decision about, getting rid of the truck
Right.
and where that goes,
Right.
it seems to be like,
What I'd recommend, I think, like, pick out the two that you like the best and actually go tell them you'd like to just drive them around, see which makes more sense for you.
The only one, Zimmer Tractor and Stones in Greensburg, those are Kubota, between the Kawasaki from Thornton's and I think the other one's, Osgood's was Bobcat, which is still Polaris, I think you guys said.
Right.
And On Target was Polaris also.
So do you know, does the Kubota have hydraulics to raise the blade up, or do you?
Yes.
So that would be a big deal for pushing snow, where I think the Polaris and the Bobcat probably uses a winch.
Yep.
Which is a little slower time to raise up.
Yep.
So, I mean, that might be a good reason to consider.
The only
Or you don't
difference.
get the down pressure possibly
Right,
either.
yeah, so,
The only difference between Zimmer Tractor and Stone's is Zimmer does a Kubota blade, and Stone's, they do a, daggone it, Boss, there it is, slipped my mind. Boss is a little more durable.
And they got AC in them
Yes.
as well. I know you don't need it for pushing.
I know, I'm just
He's
teasing.
working around, doing yard work and stuff.
Do you think, I mean, I don't think you need to be driving over 25 mile an hour around in it
I
anyway.
don't see a need to go over that.
Yeah, it's more of a work type vehicle to use. The other ones, I think, is more pleasure riding. So, but I'd demo it, just kind of see if you can sell it filled out, see how you like it.
so did either one of them offer to bring one here for a demo, to just have her on the ground? They got something they could bring just to use
I
one?
could call and check.
Yeah.
I know the jail, they have Kubota, so I've used that before. I know what that does. It's also the one I brought up here, I stole from someone. But yeah, it's just Polaris and Kawasaki that I've never had to deal with. I've never been in it or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, make a recommendation for us on what will do the job, and then we'll make a decision next time, I guess.
Yeah.
What else you got for us?
Other than that, I got Kramer coming Friday to show us the layout of the scaffolding inside the building, so we can determine if it'll be blocking anything, and then we can move on to there. Still waiting on the collar samples for the louvers, so we can get that picked out. So all the colors are matching with the copper roof and everything.
You say they're coming to show you where the
Yes.
pillars, so they're gonna mark it off so we can see exactly where it's at? Okay. As long as you're happy, I don't think we need to see that, do we? As long as he's satisfied with it and we can
I
access
just need to
everything.
verify that we're not blocking any
Right.
emergency doors that people need to exit and hallways.
Yep.
Yeah. Which I think most of it's gonna be in that hallway, by Judge Sharp's, that go in his, but how much
Yep.
area on the floor they take up will be the $1 million question.
In the hallway, or are they gonna be in the kind of break room now for the prosecutor's office? That would be, how much space are we taking up actually?
Yeah. All right, well, let us know what's going on with that.
Other than that, it's just plain catch-up.
Okay?
So have you got an update on the blinds?
I have to make a phone call today. Dylan did let me know, or I can't remember if it was Dylan or another one, that he came back out one day when I was off to get some measurements on something, and then I forgot to call today to see exactly a timeline on that.
Okay. And there's a sign on this end of the courthouse that,
Yeah,
Broke down?
I've got to
Okay.
I've got to pick up some more bolts. I'm out of bolts.
okay. Looks like somebody ripped it off, might be able,
Yeah.
so anyway. And it's pretty ratty looking. I mean, get it put back up, when you look at getting a new one, I don't know.
Yeah.
And figure out maybe a little better way to mount it. And there's some chairs that somebody's put in right inside the door there where the guards are at. I think when we bought all new chairs for some of them offices, they brought all their old ones and just stacked them up right there. So we need to do something, like as soon as you walk in the doors down there, there's like 6 chairs stacked up right there against the
Oh,
wall.
I must have missed that this morning. then.
Yeah, I mean, I just turned around, looked back and seen them, and asked them what they was for, and they just showed up there a couple weeks ago, so.
No one sent me an email or said anything.
They wasn't trying to bother you because they knew you was on vacation. So yeah, just take a look at those. We need to do something with those chairs.
Okay.
And then on the heater, did we decide we was not going to hang the heater? So I don't know, the heater in the bathroom, in the men's restroom where the urinals was, we discussed not putting it back up because we're not sure that we'll need it.
Okay.
And then, but the power and everything's there, and he's got the heater, and we thought that if we need it later this winter, he can just put it up himself if we decide we need the heater.
Okay.
But we need to let them know, because Art said the guy was coming to hook it up tomorrow.
Okay.
So is that good? Is that okay with you?
I'm fine. I'm
Okay,
fine
all right.
with me.
Okay, so we just clarify that. And then, I'm not sure Craig's here, we can talk about it. I've had a lot of people ask me if we were gonna do an open house with the courthouse still there. People can come in and see. I don't know, we need to coordinate that with who, when we want to do it on a Saturday morning when they're having their farmer's market, so people can come in and see. We just need to, I think we need to do
Yeah,
it.
I thought Art's not here, but I thought Rick Anderson said that they wanted to do something too. So it makes sense to do that all together.
Okay, so we'll just wait till Art.
We'll wait till
gets in.
Art gets
Okay,
here. And
all right.
yeah, I don't care when it is. That's a good idea. Have it then. People can,
All right. That's my list. Thank you.
Cool. Don't forget that when he comes in. Is that it?
That's all I have for you.
Jeff?
Good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Craig.
Hopefully you had some enjoyment or some time off of not having to worry about this place.
That's a quiet time.
Good. All right, well, now get back after it. Sheriff?
Good afternoon, Sheriff Bradley. I don't really have much for you. I did stop by over at the jail last Thursday, and I asked them if we'd had any leaking on the roof that it's not fixed, and they said there was. So I don't think they've been calling anybody, but I don't think it's been major leaks, but they have had some leaks, so I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
The nepotism issue that we had with the one jail officer has been taken care of. It's been resolved. He's still going to be under our employment, just under different direct supervision, so. And I ran that by my attorney, and he was okay with it. If you need more details on it, I can get it to you, but that's basically in a nutshell. He's not going to be under control of his father any longer. Somebody else. He's not going to be under his father's direct supervision any longer. So,
Okay, so that's all straight and taken care of. Good deal.
yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much it.
I'm glad we figured it out.
And do you have everything set in place for the next council meeting to try to get that system that you need down there in the jail? I think it's important that that gets done and.
Yeah. I did get some answers to the questions they had, and I emailed them to them. I don't know if we emailed you guys or not, the same thing, we may have, but I do know they were emailed, and we didn't get a lot of response. I did reach out to another company about a quote, and they called me back right away. So I was talking with the guy on the phone, I told him what I was looking at and what I wanted, and he said, so basically you just want another bid for the process? And I said, well, yeah, and he said, okay, no problem, but then I never, other than the verbal bid he gave me, it was like $150,000. But other than that, he hasn't sent me anything. So I think he was just not real wild about being the second date to the prom, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I don't know, you got any questions for me?
I don't.
We figured out what we're doing with our maintenance person.
Just waiting for the funding from the county.
Council, waiting on the council.
Okay.
Yeah.
They told us to come back next meeting.
I mean, we got somebody in line for it.
Yes,
And the additional appropriation was,
that was the hang-up apparently,
Do what?
right? That was the hang-up apparently last meeting, wasn't it? I think
yeah, they
that's what it
kind of
was.
do, yeah, they get the So that way that person's automatically going to you and not working under
Right.
us for a short period of time. So
Right, yeah.
if there was an additional appropriation in there between now and the end of the year, then I would take care of that, so.
Right, that seemed to be
You
there.
guys
He
did.
has the additional appropriation and it just needs to be approved
Okay.
before he goes and hires someone. He doesn't want
Yeah.
something to fall underneath his.
That's what I wanted to confirm, that the actual paperwork was filed and that it.
Yes.
Yeah, she's got it. and
You
it's
guys
on-
did interview him too, right?
Do what?
Okay, You interviewed him, so I mean, papers.
I was actually out of town, but they did interview.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make
did
sure
they
we're not
interview
just,
Mike?
yeah.
You did?
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to just hand him over a job, so, yeah.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Any other questions for the sheriff's department? Just so you guys are aware, over some issues over the last couple of days, we are meeting with Will Sunderman tomorrow, an executive meeting.
Yeah, weren't we to come to that meeting as well, or not? Were we? I thought we
You
were.
were not advertised to be in it, but if you have anything you want us to address, I think you can let us know, but I would prefer not in this format if it's personnel issues.
There's something that came up this morning that I was going to talk to Will about. Is that okay? I mean,
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
Or would
to
you
talk to
rather have
Will.
it-
I just don't think you need to be in the executive meeting.
yeah, that's fine. I just, but there is something that came up this morning with the dispatch center, and so, nothing major, just a little speed bump. Hopefully we can get it ironed out.
Cool. All right.
All right, thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason Edwards of the Highway Garage will not be here today. Supposedly, he's helping the county garage chip and seal today, so I would love to figure out where they're at and see what he's actually doing today. But,
Probably,
Well, the guys are also mowing because one side of my road is this morning.
yeah, and I do know, I mean, we've been behind on mowing, but with the rain and everything that's going on, this county has more mowers now than we ever have,
Still can't.
and still can't keep up, so.
Most homeowners and yard owners
Yeah.
are in the same boat.
Yeah, but if my yard's any indication of the weeds and everything else that are going on, then I think you,
Since he's not here, can we fit a couple things in?
yes,
So the alcohol, Ripley County Beverage Board,
Uh-huh.
so I talked to Rick Block, he said he would be more than willing to do that.
Okay.
So do we need to vote on that?
yeah, put it in the form of a motion.
Hold on a minute, I have the paperwork here for that.
He would have came today, but he's on vacation this week, so,
I have the one certificate.
so,
And he has a thorough knowledge of alcohol?
yeah, he sent me a picture.
Okay. Good for him, okay.
If their appointment hasn't filled everything out.
Well, I understand, but that ain't my job to make sure they get it done. My job is to make sure that this appointment sheet gets sent to the state. The state can make sure that they get all the paperwork they need. That is not my responsibility.
You probably saw when I sent that to you. via
I'll give him whatever we need to give him now.
Basically, you guys sign off as the appointing authorities. You'd be the first selection designated member of the Board of County Commissioners. Write in, fill in the name of the appointment of Ripley County. And the appointee has to fill out the second page questionnaire. And then they have to basically file this with the clerk of the circuit court and sign in front of them under oath. Couple extra copies. It's a front and back with Amy's and mine. I printed as 2 separate pages. Your part is just that first section where there's a place for 3 different sets of signatures, if you like.
And then after this, council will have an appointment they need to make, that's correct?
Well, I think they made it, but I'm wondering if.
Now you can make your motion. I just wanted to make sure we had everything in line.
So
like
we,
if I had the
does he need
paperwork.
to fill this out and then we'll sign it after he fills it out? Is that what we need to do? I don't want to just sign a blank document.
Well, I think what you're doing is you're just appointing the person. He doesn't hold other lucrative public office.
No.
Good moral character, at least a 5-year resident of Ripley County. Correct?
Yes.
Richard? He's going to be the designated, I'm sorry, not the designated. you would print your names like, and it goes top to bottom. But we'll just have to, point that top one out. Because you don't have designated, person designated. Yes.
Okay, all right.
It is your appointment, not designated.
So I'll make a motion to appoint Richard Block to the Ripley County Alcoholic Beverage Board.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appreciate, tell Richard we appreciate him stepping up to the plate and filling in that spot for us.
Oh, it's right there. We just need one of these pages. We need both of these signed?
You could do both of them
Okay.
if you wanted to.
There's no sense in it, because the back aren't gonna be filled out on both of them.
True. Just whichever one's easiest.
Okay. So we fill that, he needs to fill out that questionnaire, and then,
Sign, do the, I'll bite that one portion out, but he needs to sign that in front of the clerk or take an oath. That's Richard's job to do.
Right.
You're just completing section one, or you're making the appointment, then he has to finish up with that. And then I'm sure the state will want W-9 or W-4 filled out.
that was all in an email we got from that one you forwarded, said had all that information. It even had these sheets in it.
I think Peggy may have said
I
that.
thought you sent an email.
I got the email also, but I don't know, it had nothing with it, it just had all them attachments with it.
Yeah, from Lonnie
Lonnie
Gibson.
Gibson, who is the Alcoholic Beverage Commission's designated appointment for Ripley County. They appoint for the council and then the city of Batesville along with the commissioners.
Okay, so was there the back page of this, or did I not?
That's a fun fact.
Okay, all right. So, all right,
I think we're good.
okay.
All right, great. You got anything else there, Roger?
Yeah, there was, so it's been brought to my attention that people coming to the courthouse are coming in with no shoes, no shirt, sock foot, and they feel like we should have some type of dress code. And there's nothing documented anywhere. And I'm not, being it's a public building, I don't know if there is a dress code that state statute says there should be, but I told them I would check into it.
Is this maybe people that are going to pay their probation fees and dealing with
Those and some
probation?
people are coming after they've been arrested the next morning in the same thing they were arrested in. And they just said it's a whole wide variety. They said that are coming in and several people should have more clothes or shoes.
I'm fine with the sign that says no shirts, no shoes, no service.
And we do that, I guess, back to my question. I told them we need to check and see what we can legally do.
Well, I think from a health standpoint, we might find out what's most appropriate and also what the courts would be appropriate. But if they're coming over directly from a jail, here's the problem. They may be released at a point where they have to come over and show up for an initial hearing, and maybe they don't have something with them, but they have a court date, a specified time to meet. I guess which offices who's this affecting the most, I guess?
That they just made the complaint, the people that are scanning them when they come in.
I got the phone call in my office also,
Yeah.
because they wanted me to tell them what to do, and I'm like, don't, like,
I mean, I think, in my opinion, I don't think we need to get crazy here. I think it's kind of common sense that no shirts, no shoes, you don't get access to the building, and courthouse security can maintain that.
I mean,
Does that make sense?
do we even need a sign? So
I don't think so. I think we need to tell the sheriff's department that is in charge of courthouse security that the rules are that you enter our public buildings with shirts and shoes.
And
And if not, they get denied access to our building. Don't think we need a policy, don't think we need anything, but we just need to direct them and,
I will tell
Yeah.
them that, and then that way, because that's who's asking, is the
Yeah.
guys that are scanning them in.
yeah,
And I'll tell them that, and if we have an issue come up out of it, we'll deal with it.
yep.
If we have to have an ordinance, we can always prepare one. I'm not sure it's a necessity.
Yeah. He just said at this point in time, he don't feel like he can tell them they can't come in because we don't have any, nobody's ever given him that authority, so I will give him the authority.
There you go.
All right.
And we can make, like I said, I'd probably let the sheriff's department know, since they do work for them.
Right.
And just that's the protocol. I mean, it's as simple, no shirts, no shoes, no service.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they shouldn't be wearing anything that's offensive and stuff like that, but I don't want to I don't want them guys to have to make that determination.
Do you know if there's anything from the health board that would dictate on public buildings what people can, whether they can have shoes or anything? Is that anything?
Like a state statute, but if you're thinking liability and somebody opens the door on a barefoot toe and cuts their toe, that's not.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yep.
I know at the fairgrounds, we were told we can't enforce our rule of no shirt, no shoes on the fairgrounds unless we had posted signs. I don't know if that's a rule somewhere or not, but we were told we had to have signs out to be able to enforce that, like during the fair and things like that.
Who told you that?
I mean, John, do you have anything from a legality side on that? I think it's so common sense that I don't need a daggone sign for someone, whether to wear shoes or shirts or shoes coming into a courthouse.
It's not a big deal to do that, but the court has determined what the security level should be, that no weapons, no nothing can be in there.
Yep. Can't take guns and knives, but you have to wear shirts and shoes.
I mean, if you shouldn't be completely naked, even if you're not carrying your firearm.
I will tell them that, and we'll see what happens. I
Okay.
mean, if somebody starts complaining and saying it's not posted, I guess they can,
They can come to the commissioners meeting and file that complaint, and we can handle it accordingly.
yeah.
It should be obvious, but.
I'll send it to Rob and Lee and let him tell those guys, that way
Yeah.
they know that they're doing what's right.
Yeah, cool, thank you. You guys got anything else that you?
I do
know
not
right
have
now?
anything else.
I'm sure I have all kinds of stuff that I won't remember until on my way home.
Are we ahead of schedule yet?
Yeah.
The park video meeting, are we gonna make that official?
So I think we've had some emails go back and forth about the park board and certain things that were said during meetings and such like that. And the park board currently meets at their office over at the county fairgrounds. I think it's probably in the best interest of doing the public's business, since they are compensated board members, that the county commissioners need to ask and tell the park board that they need to have all their meetings addressed in this chamber, so that way they can all be uploaded online. So I don't know if you guys have an opinion on them, and they're more than welcome to have special meetings and go over and look at stuff or do whatever they need to do, but the formal meetings and the public comments all need to be done in this forum. I think it might eliminate some of the issues that have gone on in the past. They've kind of been able to have their own meetings, and no one really knows when they're going on. We'll give a little bit more, put some, availability for the public to be more involved in Winter Park does.
I agree with that.
So-
The meetings I've been at, it needs to be a little more official.
So who do we need to tell that needs to start happening? What do we need to do to make that happen?
Does anyone, who's the president?
Scott White.
Scott White. So let's put it in the form of a motion. And ultimately, I challenge anybody and everybody that has public meetings, they need to be coming in here, whether it's health board, park board, anything that needs to be, anyone that is compensated on a board probably needs to start to be having their meetings in here and having them under the jurisdiction of the state law. And I don't know, John, is it required that all boards, like, what's the rules? If I'm not mistaken, it's anyone that, if they have the opportunity for them to be recorded, they have to be. which would that make planning and zoning a part of that as well, since they meet in here?
No, those would be reported. Anything that's typically a quasi-public body, where they're subject to like open door records, open door laws, records requests, things of that nature. I mean, if they're receiving public funding, making decisions, spending public money,
Has Becky showed you how to work it
for
yet?
the most part, that.
So would,
So we just, when we talked to Becky earlier, she just said that anybody
Or
that,
it's not really a governmental entity though.
that I was just wanting to.
Yeah, but if they have business,
They question that after the fact.
yep, if they have business with the board, it would have to be in a public, here,
I mean,
and their public meeting.
If we, yeah, we would come to their meetings if we have business with
Yes.
our board, but I didn't know if us as a board would meet.
oh,
No.
the 4-H board? Yeah, I wouldn't think so, no.
That's through the extension cooperative and things of that nature. That's. it's more-
Yeah, that's not a government entity,
Yeah.
so,
But Becky just said she needed to know whoever's going to be using this to record so she can make sure they're set up. So
yes.
we need
Yeah,
to go
so we'll need to get with them, probably Christie will be able to spearhead to make sure that everything works, because she's pretty much the one that takes notes for the park board. I don't know of any other boards that meet outside of this building that probably need to be addressed at the,
So water, we fund them. Do they need to be,
that I don't know.
we pay their payroll.
Don't think we have jurisdiction. We have jurisdiction over, even though some of our, yeah, I think that's more,
We have no restrictions on them, federal government does.
Right.
yeah. But I
So
think,
we pay them, federal government controls them.
Okay, I thought there was the county and the federal both over there.
I mean, the two employees
We
do
don't-
get paid by the county, but they are controlled by the federal government.
Okay, because they got a federal person over there as well.
They do.
Okay.
But I think if they had to be recorded, they should be communicating to them. They should make sure,
Yes.
take the lead on it if they,
Yes.
and set it up. yeah.
Yeah.
So are you going to get this, Scott? I do not know.
we'll get with Scott or ask Christie to reach out to them,
Okay.
and then we'll make sure that Becky knows that the doors are open. I think it's the first Wednesday of the month, I don't
And
think,
you'll just have to show them how to work them,
yes.
or I can.
Okay, so we'll do that.
She has to set it up for them to keep all that.
Yeah, because she'll have to set it up, because, I mean, if they're going to do this live stream, they also have to put their agenda online also. Their agenda has to be made public on the webpage.
Okay, well, that's part of them being a government entity,
Yeah.
so if they
And I
haven't done
agree
it
with
before.
that, Becky will just have to do that, though.
So we'll get with Becky and make sure that,
So do
I,
we need to vote on it?
let's put it in a form of a motion.
I make a motion to have the park board be present for recording and video at our meeting,
Conduct their meetings in the commissioner's meeting room.
commissioners meeting room. Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I do have one more thing, Art, and then now, so that way I don't forget. John, John Bunzelmeyer situation, there's nothing I need to do with that?
I don't think so. I've forwarded that on to Brad, and I presume, I mean, as you saw in my email, my recommendation is go ahead and let them handle it, let them deal with it.
Okay.
And,
Just the first time I've been sued multiple times sitting in this capacity or been named in a lawsuit, so to speak. I've just never been asked for a,
signature,
I mean, they wanted a response back and,
well, they just.
summons, so to
because you're
speak.
the president, but they're
Yeah.
trying to just basically name Ripley County.
Yeah, I-
Particular lawsuit. And I don't want to go into the details
Okay.
of it, obviously, in a public meeting, but
Okay.
you saw my
Yeah.
email and
Okay.
what my opinions are on it.
Cool, all right, great. Art, come on up.
Well, hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July holiday.
Here we go.
There was.
Thanks.
Oh, boy.
Back it out there.
Bull in a china
Make you
shop.
nervous there, Bert.
Thank you.
Got a few other copies, if anybody wants a copy? No? Okay. All right, so. Let's see, project summary, so right now, we're finishing up the punch list items. I'll hopefully review this week or next week, early next week, all the completed items. Basement restroom work is ongoing. We're looking to have the renovation completed by the 11th and turn over on the 14th. So I didn't state that, but I had turnover on the 11th, which is Friday, but we're looking at, that's kind of a typo on my part, so I apologize for that.
So was the restrooms needed this weekend? Was it this weekend she said she needed the rest? That's kind of where we come up with that date, wasn't it?
Okay, do you need the restrooms on the?
I thought Holly said there was something going on by this weekend, and we said we would try
I
to.
thought it was after the 4th. I thought it was the 14th.
Well, the 14th is month, so there's something going on Monday. I thought so.
Might need to confirm with Holly on that. I don't know exactly, Roger. I think
Okay.
it was like the first music thing or something was on the,
That's the 12th.
It is.
Town Square.
So,
Yeah.
so you do need the restrooms.
We need the restrooms this weekend, that's why,
Okay.
yeah, yes.
okay.
And I think they're gonna make it after, I was on site down there today, they're installing the sinks, toilets, partitions. The goal is to be done by Friday, so they are needed on the 12th.
Right.
I believe that was right.
Yeah, because that, and if we made the agreement to have it done by the 12th, and if they aren't done, we have to
Then they
have, we have to have.
provide portlets.
Exactly.
Okay. I will send out a reminder to all the contractors and let them know that everything has to be 100%.
And, well, we talked about if there's something, when we block them off, anything toward Craig's area, if it's not finished up there, then it's not a deal breaker, but they need to be able to come in from the outside and the restrooms need to be done.
Okay.
Well, they may be done on their part, but it's on me to hang the dispensers and everything. So I've got to have time. to get
Well,
it
worst case scenario, the town can go set some paper towels down in a trash can and a bottle of hand soap if that doesn't get done in time.
I just wanted to make you aware about it.
I think the main thing is just make sure it's communicated to the town, what's there and what isn't,
Right. Yep.
and what they need. Seems to be that.
Okay.
Ought to be
I will,
easy.
I will follow up and I'll send out some messages and send out some emails today yet.
Okay.
We'll make sure that we're done by Friday.
All right, thank you.
HVAC controls, we're still having weekly meetings to working to resolve small issues. We contracted Blackmore Buckner Roofing to install the jail roof. I was hoping the contractor could make it out today, but I think it's gonna be probably early next week. They'll have their foreman and field superintendent out to look at the project. And we've received submittals, so that's good, and they're working on their roof taper plan for their installation. But just really wanting them to get started just as soon as possible, so. Let's see, and then please, I just talked to the sheriff outside, I said, if you have any roof leaks, please let us know right away, and we'll take care of any roof leak before they get started, so. Safety, Craig, any safety concerns? Okay. Milestones achieved, we achieved that milestone of repairing the courtyard. Looks like the grass is coming up nicely, so. Work scheduled this week, we're gonna carry on with the basement work, complete the punch list items, demobilize and exterior cleanup, and just continue to have controls meetings. Got work scheduled next week, that's kind of a typo. Other than the O&M and closeout, I've been trying to get started on that. The AIA form and just O&Ms and closeout stuff. Up and coming activities, of course, we got the jail roofing getting ready to start July, August. The solar jail, or solar work, scheduled to start August, September. Working on finishing up controls issues. I still have a small list from the state fire marshal and the Ripley County inspector. I'm working on some evacuation maps and, you know, that signage that we'll post in front of the doors that lead up to the corridors. Action items needed. Real close to having that AIA substantial completion form filled out, and I'll send it in I'll probably send it to you, Amy, for review and signature. And then complete the items for the Ripley County inspector. I need to issue the as-built drawings, fire system records, evacuation maps and posters, and west entrance exit sign. So we're going to install that tomorrow. Action items completed. Just confirming you guys received the check that we presented.
$12,438.72.
That's it.
Received it today.
All right, awesome. That's great. Open discussion items. We're going to install a small ceiling fan in the vault area. So we're going to work on that today. The electrician's going to wire it up tomorrow. So, other than that, that's really all I have. Does anybody have any comments? Or
So we brought it up earlier, we want to have an open house. And and Mark said that somebody said something in his group.
Yeah, Rick Anderson said at some point he would like to get like something
Okay.
together, if we want to do that, like on a Saturday when the town's doing their, one of their events or something,
Okay.
so ask Rick what he was thinking of doing or whatnot.
Yeah. I'm
Like
getting a lot of people asking about if we were going to have one. I just kind of felt like it's a good idea.
Yeah, we spent millions of dollars on the building, and this building is owned by the taxpayers, and I would like for them to get to see what has been done and how it looks, and to get something together for that would be great.
Okay. I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, we still haven't
And-
had the floors waxed inside there either yet, so
What was that?
floors waxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't had that done yet. I probably want to have that done.
But
before we-
it would be nice to get it done, have it before they start putting the scaffolding up.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very true, very
So,
true.
You know,
So yeah, probably call it in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
To do something. Okay.
All right.
all right, that's all. I don't have anything else.
I do for Craig, now that we're talking about the courthouse. You're done, Art, I appreciate it.
No.
Where are we at with the signage we picked? Do we have a timeline on the signage installation? Did we 100%, when we approved it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you've been off.
I just seen that email just a little bit ago. I had over 100 emails I've been trying to get through today. Did she ever?
She said that she was gonna come and take some pictures and then get with you when you got back.
Okay.
I tried to get it, I got it started, I sent the paperwork that we signed at
Okay.
the last meeting.
I
She wanted to meet with Craig again, because I guess her and Craig had talked about some things, and
think the
she wanted to
only-
make sure they went over, and she ordered the exact thing that was needed.
think about the only thing that she was really was the location of the, oh my goodness, what's it called? Right out here.
Directory?
Directory, there we go, sorry. The placement of the directories at each location.
Yeah.
Have been added, the rest of it, and just the wording and spelling was correct on all the signs. So,
Okay.
All right. Yeah, it'd be nice to get that done before we do this.
I think what she said, once everything is finalized, it'll be probably roughly 2 weeks.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, we're 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Tara, let me ask this real quick. Is there anyone here with Dave Gutzweiler or Peter Paul, office supply? Nope, all right. Tara?
Tara Briggs, Health Department. Just three things. My first question is, I want to ask if the annex building can be listed in 211 as a cooling center this summer. I'd like to list like the lobby area, but if that's not amenable to you, maybe we could do it in the Health Department area. It basically just involves not turning people away from loitering if they're coming in to escape the heat.
I don't care if you want to do it in Health Department, but I do
Okay.
not want it in here. I've walked in this here before, and we've had people in there charging their phones, and
Okay.
we don't need it to be
Okay.
in this. I mean, I don't know if you guys have an opinion, but I do not want it in the,
So does that have to go through the EMA?
No, it just goes through 211. They just register it, and it would just be during the building's normal hours of operation.
Because I know we had, he had, so a tornado shelter or it's.
No, it would just be listed as a cooling center for if it's hot.
Well, the thing is, if we would open the hallway up, you only got 2 benches out there.
well, I mean, I had the last time we had a meeting, or I was here for something, there were some individuals sitting out there that did not make it look very welcoming here to come in and do business. And I don't think it needs to be in this hallway to disrupt any type of business that we have going on in people's.
What is the criteria for opening up to have a cooling station? Does it, once it gets so hot, you will open the doors, or is it there all the time?
We can put stipulations on when we would want it to be open. So if you wanted it to be like 90 degrees or above, we could set a temperature condition, but we don't have to necessarily provide any services or anything like that on top of just.
So if it got,
Places it.
so if we set it at 90 degrees and above, and it got 90 degrees at 1 o'clock, it would be open for people to come and sit. I don't like
Right.
the sound of that.
Okay.
I don't think it would be good trying to have a business, have work going on throughout the day with a bunch of people sitting out there if that becomes an issue. That's my personal opinion.
I don't know. I mean, I think that there's churches and other type of nonprofit.
The
volunteer-
reason that I was volunteering us is I was trying to get when I started this project, there were 0 cooling centers listed in our county. We've gotten 3 people to step up, but we have not had anyone in Versailles step up yet. But I'll still work on it. But if the lobby or foyer out there is not amenable, is the health department, if we open our like waiting area, it's less desirable for us as well, but
Well, I mean, honestly, this is just me, if it's during business hours, there's nothing you can do to prevent people from coming in. So I just don't think we should advertise it as a
Okay.
cooling center. If they want to
Okay.
come in, they can come in, but the
Okay.
big thing to me is after hours. You know, if we say we're going to do this, then somebody
it would
has to
only
do
be
it.
during, we would put the hours on there, so I would have just put what our normal business hours were.
You have Tyson Center, how many churches in town? Like,
Library.
yeah.
I haven't heard back from the library, but I did ask.
Keep working and see if you can find someone like that to do it. I don't, I mean, like I said, I'm adamantly, my opinion, I'm adamantly opposed to anything in this corridor.
My second question is, are you okay if we start rearranging the furniture in here this week for our back-to-school event? That is on Thursday. So if you remember, I asked for permission to use the commissioner's room for our vendor setup for our back-to-school bash Thursday. Y'all were okay with it. I think the only thing going on in here is the health board meeting.
I knew we were going to find our calendars, it would be great on this. I have to go to a completely different website other than our website.
Yeah, I have 3 different calendars too. I have 3 different calendars.
Do you go on our website to look at them calendars? Or
I have,
county.com?
I haven't checked the county's calendar. No.
I think as long as it doesn't interfere with anybody else having a meeting in here, I don't think it's an issue, do you?
No, and if it's the health department,
I
it's the-
actually, I'll be honest, I don't think there was anything when I scheduled her health board meeting this morning, but I'll double check.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't interfere, you're good to go.
yeah, and as when you move everything gets moved back for the next meeting. then
We could, I
I'm not-
mean, probably tomorrow, arrange, we'd be just bringing tables in and kind of
I
moving.
probably wouldn't do it tomorrow with your board meeting. I would probably.
I was going to wait till like after the meeting, because since we'll be in here for the meeting anyway, but I can do it Wednesday.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
whatever the commissioners are okay with, I'm okay with.
Mark, you might want to repeat your comment, because I think she.
You said you were okay with it.
Conversation when you made it.
So if you could, and that and everything, I mean, I don't care when you start as long as no one has it moved, but then as long as everything gets moved back, I
I'll take a picture before we move
Don't
things.
care.
and have
I
it
mean,
back.
you're just moving chairs, right? I mean,
We're
there's
going to
nothing,
bring tables in.
right, but there's nothing, you won't move any, there's nothing up here to move.
No, no,
Right,
no,
so,
no.
yeah.
There shouldn't be any reason anybody is.
So we don't need to measure out on the floor and put marks where the chairs are at or nothing, do we?
My last question, is it okay if I begin site prep for the shed? I don't know if you got a chance to go out there, but
Let's repeat that
for
again.
the shed,
Are
you okay if I-
I'm sorry.
that's okay. I mean,
will.
are you okay if I just go ahead and get started, or do you want me to wait for you to go look at it
Wait
first?
till I go look at
Okay.
it, please.
Okay.
I just got to get my foreman caught up, and I've been dealing
Okay.
with a lot of rain, so.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
get with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we want to sign paperwork? You gentlemen have anything for us this afternoon? Okay. Welcome to beautiful Versailles, Indiana. And you're with Peter Paul, I'm assuming? Okay, are you ready for a presentation, or are you waiting on people?
Dave, the other owner of the company, is.
Okay, all right, well, in this case, we'll go ahead and start signing paperwork.
And while I'm
Thank
just
you.
getting that ready, I emailed you, it's kind of late notice, but there is a bankruptcy settlement regarding Purdue Pharma. I shot you an email on that, and then I handed out the Purdue Pharma and Sackler Farm settlement overview. Basically, the recommendation of Cohen and Ladd is to go ahead and accept it, because that's probably as good as it's gonna get. To what end that means additional compensation for that type of settlement with Ripley County is not known with certainty yet, but it is going to be looks like about a 16-year payout, give or take, based on that summary. The documents of the bankruptcy proceeding, there's about 3 different documents, and they're all in excess of 200 pages. So obviously, I didn't think it was worth printing all that, because I don't think anybody's going to read all that. And,
Does that make you want to be a tort lawyer?
I don't know. Let's put it this way, I'm a small town lawyer. I don't have staff for that.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, I don't know how much you guys understand the story of this. It's nice to see the Sackler family get something stuck with them, because they were the ones that profited off of that, in my opinion.
Probably to the greatest degree,
Killed,
the way it appears.
you know, I don't know if anyone's, I forget what series it was, but Netflix put together a heck of a series on Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family, and, you know, the destruction that they did for, you know, when I first got into county government, very common overdoses, oxycodone, what that has done for a lot of good people and people's families that would have never have had those challenges except for pill pushers. So it's,
Prescription shopping, you know, doctor
yeah,
shopping, that type
so
of stuff.
I'm not a big fan of lawsuits and stuff like that, but sometimes there warrants a reason for it, and, you know, people need to be held accountable when it's all about the almighty dollar.
There's no specific ballot that you have to sign. I basically just need to get back with the gentleman, Erwin Levin and John Knoll, to know if you guys are on board with a yes vote to accept the settlement on behalf of Ripley County.
Put that in form of a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I will shoot him an email, and then I'll follow up with a copy of that to you, acknowledging your affirmative vote.
I think, by my indications, what that family is worth, they're losing about half their money over this lawsuit.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure, because they've probably been able to keep a lot of it on invested, and that kind of money generates a pretty solid return on a good investment.
Yeah, but it was, I think they were worth like 16 billion, and I think the settlement's roughly 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
But anyways,
I don't know all the details, but it's been a long, long road.
So do you have that form? Did I need to get Rich Block to sign that? Did you keep that paper, or do I?
Well, he can either come up here and do it, because he will need to sign that oath
Okay,
in
he
front of
needs-
the judge or the clerk, if I'm not
So
mistaken.
where will that form be at?
I'll put it in my office, I guess. That's
Okay.
what I was gonna ask to.
Or unless you want to give it to him to bring it up here to complete, work on completing it at home, but
I was gonna take it to him, but I mean, if,
I think that's fine. I think that would be all right, as long as it's returned to Amy.
You
after-
said that settlement was for 16 years.
That's what it appears, that one of the proposals is that it's basically a 16-year payout. That's what it's looking like to me, and from what I can glean from it. So,
over 16 years, yeah, they can take their $8 billion and, yeah.
if nothing else, it's 16 years, though, of continued money going into the funds, and probably that'll get broken down, I would presume, via the states through restricted and non-restricted use. Hopefully that help can still be there for addictions and things of that nature, who knows. But yeah, it's completed by the appointee and filed with the office of the clerk of the circuit court of the judicial circuit in which the local board sits. So basically, this is, I guess, attested to by the circuit, by Liz Baumgartner.
okay.
But that part he'll have to sign up here, but he'll probably want to complete
Complete
all of that
and
stuff
then-
first,
Okay.
all right? And then Amy, if Liz will make a copy of that for Amy, but seems to me like it ought to be in both locations.
And then once this is filled out, we need to send it to this guy, can't remember his
Right,
name.
well, the address is listed on the top of that form, but Amy should have a copy, Liz should probably keep a copy, and then the original should be returned to the Alcoholic Beverage Commission.
All right, I'll do that.
Were you ready?
Right.
Okay, come on up.
Thank you all for hearing us today. My name's Nick Young. I've been a RICO rep for a little over a decade, representing RICO equipment and specializing in local government and K through 12 education in Indiana and Northern Kentucky. I'm new to Peter Paul, but not new to the industry or the type of offerings that we're able to offer. And I think the main thing that we want to talk to you guys today about is not to change your process and how you do things, but to give you some available options as far as state contracts that you're able to take advantage of. So, right now, your process is each department has their own budget. They're allowed to make their own decision on who they'd like to use for technology equipment. The provider that the majority of the county has does not have a state contract that the state of Indiana recognizes. Not that you need one, but there is a big advantage, in my opinion, not only with pricing, but also with how the contracts are set up. And then more importantly, I believe the manufacturer that we represent, RICO, is one of the strongest manufacturers in the industry as far as security is concerned, especially with rural counties. There have been a lot of rural counties just because of, the budgets that they have on their IT staffs that puts the county at risk of, data leaks, security hacks, things like that. So, some of the things that are behind the scenes that a lot of people who are making decisions as far as contracts are concerned don't really look at those things. So I believe that we have a lot that we can bring to the table, and we're kind of just curious as to how the processes work today. And what we don't want to do is come in and have you guys start dictating to the departments that they're required to go get a competitive bid. That's not the way things work now. That's not the way things work in the majority of our local government accounts. But I do believe that there are only good things that come from at least looking at some other options, putting some things comparable head to head, and, looking at the advantages that these state contracts bring to the table for the county. So that's what we're here today, just to kind of ask, what the best way to do that is. If it's on a department level, individually, or if there's anything that, from a commissioner level, that you guys could encourage the heads of these departments to at least look at some other options.
Okay, go ahead. So it's kind of ironic that you came today, because this has been a topic of discussion over the last couple of months at different times about using state contracts. So I started as commissioner the first of the year, and in my previous life, I was involved in state contracts a lot. And I've kind of asked around. I don't know that there's a lot of involvement in state contracts going on in the county right now. Some people are a little bit knowledgeable about it, but a lot of people aren't. So what state contracts are you involved with right now, or are you members of right now?
So in the past, it was called U.S. Communities. I've used them in Ripley, Dearborn, Scioto County, or not Scioto, Switzerland County, for the K through 12 education and local government. And what it was a 28 state purchasing group that the state of Indiana recognized. Recently, within the last year, Indiana has went out one further, which is even better. Instead of participating in the 28-7 statewide buying group, Indiana has its own state contract now that RICO has written. So it's already been pre-bid. The state of Indiana recognizes it as state contract. So any local government, any K through 12 education, and then we have separate buying groups for nonprofits. But Omnia is the state contract. I'll get all your email contact information to send you some stuff that you can read about the Omnia contract. But it already being pre-bid. So Ripley County, from everything I understand right now, you have no policies in place that dictate that, like, we would need to go get 3 contracts, okay? In Indiana, you do have through K through 12 education. So in a lot of our school bids, they're going to be over $100,000 for a technology lease. So if you do a 5-year lease and that totals over $100,000, the state of Indiana requires that you go get 3 bids, unless you take advantage of a state contract that has already been pre-bid. So the advantages to a lot of our K through 12 education customers, bids are very difficult to get a true apples to apples bid. Companies can, leave out accessories, they can leave out networking fees, they can leave out a lot of services that we offer as a company. Well, one of the great things is those networking services are also written in these contracts, in the state contract. So it really relieves any county head of, it just gives them the peace of mind that they know that they did their due diligence to make sure that these were already pre-bid. And so that's the thing, we're not looking for the county to dictate to any department. We're just looking for maybe some suggestions and the contacts and the blessing of the commissioners to be able to offer, which I believe is a service to the county.
So I think, do you do workshops we could, I mean, if we said, hey, set up a time for all the department heads to come and have a workshop with you so they can see the advantages, because I think you give good relevant information. So that's information I've heard 100 times.
Absolutely.
Not on your products, different than any product I've dealt with before, but I think the department heads need to hear that same information so they can make an informed decision and they can realize this is going to save us money.
We can, we can bring in to our offices, anybody who'd like to come on their own schedule. We could hold a lunch and learn to where we actually go through our product, but also go through the security features that RICO includes standard, that's already written into the state contract. A lot of these other manufacturers are additional line items or additional cost that oftentimes are left off. So we could do it there. We could set something up here at the county. We could do it individually with departments. We're more than willing to, go through with them. Now that's just on the product itself. Our products, manufacturers are manufacturers. I believe that, so when we talk about manufacturers, a lot of the original companies were all Japanese because of the glass, the imaging quality. So a lot of your copier companies were camera companies. Ricoh, Konica Minolta, Canon are all Japanese companies. The manufacturer that most of the county is using right now, I hate to use this and I don't want to offend anybody, is more in lines of a Kia. Whether you're taking advantage of that cost reduction, but head to head, when we look at just security for the county, is where I really believe is the biggest separation and the biggest advantage that we can offer to the county behind the scenes. The fact that we already know that the contract has been pre-bid and you're getting discounts for your local government status should just make you feel even better.
Do you know if we have any contracts for copiers now? So it's no timing issue. We can do it whenever we want. I mean, we can listen to something. I think
I do have a question though, can I ask the question?
Absolutely.
So you say like the security, does that mean that we're gonna have a badge to print something? 'Cause
Not at all.
I've been to a few counties to where they do that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a pain in the butt. Like,
So the type of security what you're talking about are third-party additional software companies. Now RICO does have a similar type of service where you need to badge in for authentication, or you would need a code to where we could track printing and things like that. Now there is an ROI if we really look on a whole county level, but that's more of an initiative that may be a year or two out,
I mean, because like, if I'm printing tax bills, there's a lot of times where in my office where we're printing tax bills on every printer that I have available in my office, that I go to the assessor's office and use their copy machine, because their copy machine, my copy machine is also a printer. So I'll go over there and use their machine, well, I wouldn't be able to do that if we had badges.
Are any of these, what is it, RICO? I'm not very familiar with copiers, okay? I know Kyocera, which is probably what you're referring to as a lower level.
And I don't mean that in any,
Yeah,
so they're just a Korean-based company versus one of.
And that's fine, but are any of these RICO units already in Ripley County?
We do
I
have,
think some copiers and stuff, aren't there?
Yeah, the sheriff's office has one, or a couple. That's about the only one I know of in this building. I mean, we have them at Jacksonville schools and Batesville schools.
But are you like a dealer of that product?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so like your competitor could be the dealer of Kyocera or a dealer of whatever?
correct.
Yes.
RICO was formerly known, I think, as Lanier.
Well, so Lanier, RICO was the parent company. Now, just depending on markets in the US, they had some relabeled as Lanier or Gestetner. RICO
Because
has,
I'll give you an example in the state contract stuff. My employer, I sit on an education contract that I have selling food service equipment, and Kyocera is the contract, holds the contract for that buying group that I'm with. So a buying group, in my opinion, fits the mold as to whomever you want to do business with. Okay, does that make sense? Because there's Sourcewell, which is a national contract, there's AEPA, there's the one that you were referring to. I mean, typically, in my experience, if you find someone you want to do business with, you find the contract so that way you can do business with them outside of the contract. No, it's kind of complex, but sometimes the easier way of purchasing is to have these contracts. Say, oh, it's already been bid, it's great, trust me. I sell restaurant equipment, I love when people use the contract.
Yep.
Love it. But like I said, it's a matter of who won what and what contract and what, because these contracts,
The only thing I would
For all
disagree
different
with on that is if they're really using the contract to order your equipment, and if you're getting the advantages of buying through that contract.
Yeah.
So some of the things as far as the networking and some of the other things that are already pre-bid also. So if you're not actually purchasing through that contract and they're just touting, and I'm not saying that that's the case, but you'll know with our contract because it's a process that we actually register you with Omnia. And there are a ton of other benefits to being registered with that. So, and I understand because, you know, I have customers that I've done business with for close to 20 years. They want to continue to do business with me. That state contract allows them in certain cases where they don't have to take it to bid because they don't want to deal with, you know, a new company with the cheapest offer. You know, cheaper isn't always better. Really the main thing, what I was talking about with security are on all our devices are HTTP encrypted standard, you know. So Rico has nationally won a lot of large government accounts, and there are some things that I think they're cutting edge and bring to the table that protect the county, not force any changes upon, you know,
I'm
how
just
things
thinking
are.
about how difficult it would make my job if we had to do that. Because I've been in other counties and I'm like, oh my God, they have to badge it.
I mean, ultimately, I think this conversation, I mean, Becky is our IT person, and, I mean, that's kind of like, in my opinion, needs to go through her. I mean, I'm all about getting a better price.
Manage the copiers?
She helps with, so I have
She
Becky's
helps
on,
with copy machines, yeah, but like, I don't know, I haven't.
she does not make the decision.
8 years.
Yeah. And I,
She helps
If you want a new
with
copy
the-
machine, what would you do? If your copier went down today, what would you do to get a new copy machine?
I would call probably Peter Paul, I would call Office Shop, and I would get bids on my own.
Right, so I mean, that's why I think, I mean, I'm not saying she should not be included, but her and the department heads should get, I mean, there should be an
Yeah,
opportunity
I don't just buy a copy
for them
machine,
to
I
listen to
get
what they
bids.
have to say. I mean,
I want the best.
And it's tricky, you know, because nobody wants to be told, especially when the departments are covering their budgets. You know,
what would be a way, Amy, for us to figure out what the county spends a year on? Like, I mean, how much, I know council brought this up on, you know, is there a way that we can buy all these under one, is a
I don't
whole
know if
bunch of
there's a-
time?
I don't know if there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay,
Because I may buy it out of my office supplies, and I have a ton of office supply money left for the year, and I need a new printer, I'm gonna use it because I have the budget for it. But then John, over in the clerk's office, may use his equipment line, or,
now where it comes from, what I would like to do and what we've done for other counties is, so we would get with Becky, there's a map for every facility that you guys have, where we would physically walk the departments and detail, okay, so in the Planning and Zoning Commission department, we have 3 of these copiers and here are the serial numbers. So what we would need to do is find out where you're getting invoices for those units. So
if you guys want to do the work on that, you're more than welcome. That's how I feel.
I would think that would
I
be,
mean, because here's the thing, I'm not gonna, I mean, as much as I wanna make sure we're not wasting money or spending money, but if this saves us, if someone spends, 2 or 3 weeks worth of time on it, and we're only gonna save $1,000, then we spent more time on labor and time trying to do the work. But if you guys wanna figure that out and tell us what our spend is a year and make a case as to whether we should buy a Ford or a Kia or a Cadillac, I'm fine with it, but,
and I'll try to do as much research as I can
Yeah.
to educate the departments what type of contract Kyocera actually has in place
yeah.
versus what type of state contract Rico has in place, advantages, disadvantages of those contracts. So, I'm new, we would just like to introduce ourselves, but I've been doing this for a long time in local government. I believe in the advantages of, you know,
Is it RECCO?
RICH.
RICOH.
Which the extension office does have a RICO, but it's a duplicator, and that's,
Yeah,
oh,
it's just different technology.
it was bought 7 to 10 years ago, and the one before that was a RICO also.
Yeah, they're big into duplicators. There's very few companies that do it, so.
And it's, we deal with somebody out of
Louisville,
I think,
yeah.
is who they, when I was in the office,
Right, yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And getting back to your concern as far as like the badge, that isn't any, what he's talking about would not have
I
anything.
just wanted to make
yeah.
sure I was understanding
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
That's the only thing I wanted to
Yeah.
do.
And for some, so we have some counties that, that are tighter on their budgets, that their budgets have been hit over the last several years. So those type of additional services like authentication, badge authentication, and where we're tracking the usage and being able to build back specific departments. So what it would do is if there's a department that's tight on their budget and they have other departments that are sneaking in and making 2,000 color images that could cost in that single run several $100s.
I don't think there's a colored printer anywhere in this building.
Okay. Well, and I'm just,
Maybe one.
but that's where, you know, those type of additional third-party softwares really come into play. And that's, if I speak to a department head, and that's a concern of theirs because they just don't have it in their budget anymore, they're having budget issues. How can we tighten our belts a little bit? Well, we can cut off color usage to people who don't need to ever print in color. You know, if they're printing emails in a web bar, okay, and that email, and they're getting charged, I'm just throwing out numbers, 7 cents versus a penny, that's 7 times the cost. And all that is a little, you know, rules-based, you know, things that we can put into place.
Right.
Because, you know, it's like this also, it's not just rare for local government, but it's not, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but there are definitely cases where they're not really concerned whether it costs them 7 cents or 1 cent. It doesn't come out of their pocket directly. You know, it's not their business. But I think regardless, we would just love to be able to have the conversation with the county on what we bring to the table, you know, my expertise and what RICO brings to the table with the additional standard security.
So it sounds like you already kind of know how we're set up and how we're running. So do you think with what you're offering, you can offer us the same or better equipment with a substantial amount of savings?
I can't say that because I haven't seen your current contracts. But what you're talking about doing a project where you're pulling together what are we actually spending, I can help each department really drill down because it's possibly not just the lease of the equipment. You know, what are they including in with, you know, service calls included? Are they billing you additional for that? Are they billing you additional for toner? You know, what are all the costs that you're currently being billed for today, where the state contract I'm talking about is all inclusive?
Right. So, but now.
Which makes it easier, you know, just the cost of departments paying an invoice, okay? To pay the man hours for that. So if you're currently today not set up with a streamlined program and you're paying 4 different invoices to where you have no idea what you're paying for, I think we could improve on that.
And see, that's the problem, is we don't have that oversight of what each individual department's spending on this type of stuff. I mean,
So we just need their cooperation, honestly, you know.
But we don't have contracts, right? That's the way I understand. We don't have contracts with copier companies, right?
I mean, like,
You
each
definitely
office may have a contract with how many copies they can make, I'm assuming. The copier maintenance, like copy, what they
You
call
probably
it.
have a contract on every single piece of equipment that is being serviced.
I do not have a contract on my copy machine.
I mean,
So-
she's the auditor. She should know whether she has a contract or not. That's my point.
Yeah,
So
I
when you
mean,
say you don't have a contract as far as.
I do not have an agreement to pay per copy.
Okay, do you buy consumables on your own?
Yes.
Okay, that one call, that's extremely rare. You know, most companies,
I mean, I have an I just looked at my budget. I have an $800 budget, and now this year I've spent $250.
okay, which that's awesome.
Yeah.
You have a better handle on it than I'm sure a lot of other departments do. I would say 98% of.
I mean, I don't know, like, office supply budgets are not that high.
They're not.
I mean, I was on council with budgets, we're talking about $600 here, $800 here.
Until they have it, until when it comes time.
So like our recorder's office has one with their
Okay.
copy machine. Some offices do and some
Okay,
don't.
all right, yeah.
But I will tell you, like, my copy machine is old. Like, it was there when I got in office and I used it. It's used a lot.
So what's gonna happen with that? And I'm gonna tell you the only thing. So the duplicator she was talking about, that it's 8, 9 years old, okay? Once we get that 8, 9, 10-year mark, manufacturers will quit making parts. Like, we're at a
I'd
point
say that's
now.
probably where mine's at. is
So what would happen that day is, you know, you'd pay $300 for the maintenance call just to get them out there. They'd come out, they'd tell you that we don't have the parts anymore to fix your copier. Now you're down. Now you're in the need to buy a new copier. And it's not a $200 charge, it's an $8,000 charge. So it's a more, you know, for when that happens. So we're getting ahead of that.
Okay, so I think it's fair to agree, we're okay with them working with Becky and kind
They're
of.
more than welcome to
Okay.
figure it out. If there's cost savings along with it or whatnot, then it's there. I mean, sometimes it's easier just to buy the stuff outright when you can and not have to
Yeah.
deal with service agreements and stuff like that. But I think, it's kind of a hodgepodge as to how it's being handled right now. I'll be the first to admit that. And if you were more than welcome to work with the individual office holders and make a case.
And the only thing we can ask, and you know, why we came and wanted to talk to the commissioners today, is possibly, you know, not a requirement, but a little push as to the advantages of at least hearing us out and working through some of these scenarios.
I think is what you need to do is you need to tell every office holder is that county council was looking for ways to save money in contracts and asked the commissioners to do it, so that's why we're here.
Awesome.
That's,
Yeah.
That's how I would just.
Yeah.
And, and if they want to have a meeting, I mean, offer it to them as, hey, you know, we can do a lunch and learn with all department heads, and we can go through this all at one time, or.
you buy lunch, hell, I'll come.
Yeah, lunch and learn's a term I'm very familiar with. I'm all for it.
I haven't missed too many either, so we can work something out.
All right, thank you guys very much. Have a
Yeah,
good
you got
day.
something, John?
Thank you.
I was just gonna say, we have 3 Rico products in our office and we're well satisfied. And actually Dave was even able to find the parts to revive an old HP 1150.
So that's something else that I did not speak on yet. So we're talking about Rico as far as the main copiers. You guys spend a lot more, and most county departments do, on desk printers. We're also well-equipped, where a lot of companies don't want to mess with it, but to offer programs like managed print service programs where we look at your spends on those desktops, so for service on HP equipment, and to also order the toner through us as well. It's something that a lot of companies don't really mess with, but when we do our walks and we're able to list out what I'll just call them assets. Doesn't need to be a copier, it could be a printer, anything that the county is spending money on today. So, you know, we can help with these HP products that are legacy type products that are workhorses. You know, that instead of, you know, throwing it away and ordering something new, you know, that we have the ability to possibly get those things and keep them running.
Cool.
All
All
right.
right, good luck.
Thank you.
Yep, we appreciate your time, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I think we can probably get paperwork signed before we have a presentation at 2:45.
Yep.
Do we want to take a break before we?
Sure, let's take a break.
I can't stop live stream, so just say that.
see, because I looked at her notes and
We,
her notes was what you guys pretty much. I do think that.
Hey, no shoes, please. We have a rule.
First person in violation. Where's the courthouse in here?
So there has been,
It hadn't been in an hour yet, and we got a violation.
I was sitting there with them off when they were bringing it up.
So there has been some question on that, like the skid steer, who actually owns that? And if it's a county-owned piece of equipment, we can't loan it out.
That's true, probably.
Is it in like the tractor, they let us use the tractor?
Yeah, but we're not sure we can legally do that.
Yeah, we may have to change that. What's the chances you could get somebody to like
I know it
donate the use of one? Because that would make it easier.
at this late date, it might be a little hard. Fair's in 2 weeks.
Well, and I'm not saying maybe, but, I mean,
I know at
if
one-
we're looking at an ironclad agreement going forward, I mean, I think that's something we really need
Probably
to
in the
look at.
future, we should probably nix that.
I was gonna say, at one point, it's been years ago. When we would give them the list of people using it, it would be, most times it was a fire department, somebody from the fire department, or somebody that actually worked for EMS that was on our board, or, you know, like they actually did something in the county on a, more of a county level than just a volunteer.
You know, I can see
Although
it
it
as,
is everybody do that.
as time goes on, if there were issues with that, the damage to it, anything like that, it's an ugly situation.
Yeah.
That's good, Roger. But I did think it should start out with a full tank, if you want, it should be returned with a full tank.
I agree.
Yes.
Because trying to gauge where that fuel gauge is at is nonsense. Y'all take care. Well, my email says differently.
Yes, after I got your email, I was like, yes, thank you. This is on the recording.
So, one Wednesday, and I think it ought to be an annual.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me know if it was,
And
What
we
you guys
want it
agree?
to be an annual
yeah,
thing also.
so, I didn't want it to just automatically renew. I think there needs to be that discussion every year, because if anything's changed or anything of that nature on either side. You may see some things that you disagree with, they may see some things you disagree with. I think it's good for everybody to be able to
Yeah.
undo that relationship.
I did a quick look through it, I want to print it out and actually have it in my hands to read it instead of on the screen, so, but yeah.
But,
Yeah, from what I had read, just quickly, I was,
yeah, I reviewed her notes and I reviewed what you put, and I thought everything was pretty close from the get-go.
yeah,
Looks like it was all covered, so just
yeah.
let me know if there's any changes or whatever you guys agree upon is kind of your contract at this point.
Yeah.
I don't really know how much involvement I need, because I think I've made my recommendations.
Purdue just wants, so I think it's right after, after the fairs this year, they want to make sure that they have agreements. Every county has to have agreements with their,
That's probably the wise idea.
yeah.
And I do think if honestly, a demo for that 2-week period would probably be an ideal thing. I don't know if Rob or, we're kind of running, Koenig, we're kind of running out of places.
Yeah, it is. I'll give Rob a call tonight.
We're running out of dealerships.
And see.
For that
and,
type of-
Yeah. Yeah, and
Koenig's in for Koenig's about what we got
we
left.
really use the equipment, you know, I mean, because we're cleaning out stalls and, which we clean it before we give it back and stuff because it is dirty.
I don't know,
And we've replaced the tires. One year we replaced 2 tires.
I know if it was good power, they got that one Bobcat tractor demo me. Maybe they'd have a smaller one that would fit under the
I'll
building.
give Matt a call. Actually, I'll just have Dad talk to him.
All right, let's go ahead and sign paperwork while we got 15 minutes here. Hopefully we can get it done in a timely manner.
23rd meeting minutes.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of our meeting of June 23rd?
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 And the claims and payroll.
Do we have a motion to pay the claims and payroll?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, so I also have this, which we've already done everything, but this is the actual claim document and summary for the insurance. Mark just needs to sign it. Everything's already been approved, it's just the actual.
Oh, I do want to bring up, so our commitment of money to the town of Summon of $750,000 for the sewer line, there's an opportunity to do an extension that would go on a side road up there, and a surveyor that owns business there, his name's Rob Sieg, is really pushing to get a sewer line to his business there, and has agreed to do all like the site work, easements and that type of stuff, and see what the cost is, and was wondering if we would, if there's money left over from the bid that came back on that, whether that could go towards that project. So we already have $750 there. I think there might be $30,000 if there's nothing that comes up in the, what do they call it when it's more money? Contingency. That it's possible that we would be able to get that sewer line in front of where the old brick building was at, which is a in front, we'd better get.
If there's any money left, as long as they don't go over the 750,000.
Yes, but as of now, that bid was lower, so
Okay.
there would have been money. There was some other things that came up that cut back on it, but they were wondering, I mean, me personally, if it stays within that project and the scope of work of doing the sewer extension, I don't care, but I don't know if you guys,
It's to service a building in town?
this service 3 or 4 more buildings, 3 more,
And they're all in town, something,
yeah, I know the town of Pentown.
or Pentown? Okay.
Yeah, because this is the Pentown extension, the one that goes out to 74. So I don't know, I mean, I was kind of like, right now it's a matter of, if he does all the legwork, the zoning, or not the zoning, but the site work, does all, and gets the easements, and then it goes back to the contractor that's already been awarded and says this is how much it's gonna cost, if it's within that $750,000. From an economic development standpoint, I think it would give 2 more commercial properties.
I don't have
Sewer
a problem
access.
with it being used
Yeah.
up.
I just wanted there to be full transparency.
Yeah.
That we're staying within the dollar amount, but could be an additional scope of work. So, and I'm gonna sign this here for the insurance.
So then I have also, I sent you guys an email about Shannon's 2 purchases that I was unaware of. The purchase of the mounted coat rack, I guess, was it extra?
I was gonna ask Greg that, I didn't put it on my list.
And then
If he had them or not.
a board, a whiteboard.
A whiteboard that he had was damaged, and he threw it at me and Craig. If the commissioners go half, he would get one. I said it would have to come to the next meeting and be voted on, and that's all I said.
I know, I
I
just
know.
got the invoices, so I'm
Yeah,
just.
so, I
But we
mean,
didn't agree to
If
it.
we were to pay for we pay for all of it or half of it? When there,
Half of it, $157.50.
Yeah.
I
But he
don't-
was supposed to bring it to us at the last meeting so we could decide. He just threw a bill at us.
I don't have any issue with it. I mean, we don't have to pay all of it.
I understand that,
Yeah.
here's my question. If I just threw a bill at you and told you that you had to pay half without me coming to you before I purchased it,
Well,
would
it's-
you let that happen?
I mean, we knew that he needed a board, and that board we thought was one that was here that got taken down, and he had to have that board. I mean, I knew that.
It just had a little damage on it, is what it was. So, the board was here, it had damage
I
on it.
mean, I don't care
Yeah.
what you guys do, I'm just going by
I'm with
my
you.
circumstances.
Yeah.
What if I was in the same place?
I told him he needed to come to us to have it approved. I did not say it was okay and we was going for it.
I just need to know if I should pay, if I need to pay them.
Maybe this on the line asking this question, but was it damaged at all by beverages people or subcontractors? Or was it damaged
Supposedly
by
it was damaged, but
In the
all the
move?
chairs was bad too when they got back as well. They was never in that shape.
But they all were,
I know.
and we still bought his chairs.
I mean, he was panicking about trying to get everything done before Craig was leaving, and it was a matter of trying to get the new board up before Craig went on vacation. And, I mean, we've been nickel and dimed over there over certain things, and if that makes that project go away, hopefully it's done.
And
So
the
if you
code,
look-
code hanger thing was, he didn't get all of his code hangers accounted for.
That we
Craig-
paid for, we
Craig
paid,
told him to wait and see if he had all the ones extra used up. That's all I know. So,
So did he get the same ones that we
I
had?
have no idea.
I'm assuming.
I have no idea what he got, I just got the bills.
Don't know.
So I just need to know where you're being paid out of.
So on the whiteboard, I think it's agreed that, I mean, we'll pay for the whiteboard,
Half of it.
half of it. On the coat hangers, I think we need to know if he bought what's
Well, he's already ordered them.
So we need to know if if we're gonna pay for them, they need to be
The
what
ones that we
agreed.
approved.
What we approved, yes.
Yeah, see, I have no idea.
What color does it say on there? Does it say?
I mean, I don't have a problem agreeing to pay for them as long as they're what we agreed to put in all the rest of them.
It just says wall mounted coat rack, hook rack, 4 dual metal hooks for coats, bags, keys in the entryway, bedroom, living room, black. Sorry,
Black.
it does say it.
Those are the ones that we approved then, sounds like.
Where do we pay out of? I don't care.
Do you want to call him over here and ask him to explain?
No, just let me pay him.
Just one of our building maintenance funds. Because, I mean, it was courthouse expenditure from courthouse maintenance. I understand that, but it's like,
Well, no, it's frustrating because they get thrown at my girls. The commissioners are supposed to pay this, but I hear nothing about it. Like, no, I mean, I'm the one that takes care of your guys' budget, but
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. When I know something about it, I'm fine
Yeah,
with it.
I
Like, and I'm
under- I
okay with
understand that,
But then
Amy.
when somebody throws something on my desk, well, the commissioner said they were paying for this.
well,
No, they didn't.
and there was a
because they
lot,
did not
there
keep
was
it
a lot
was
of,
said in a meeting.
there's been a lot of moving parts to get things resolved over there so we can move on from
And I
that
understand
project,
that
and it
too,
just,
but we work for Ripley County, and Ripley County has an agenda, and our commissioners only meet every 2 weeks. And if you are so impatient that you can't wait for a coat hanger, I'm sorry, and I know we're live, I don't care.
do you want my opinion how impatient everybody has been and how
I know, I'm not saying just
you know,
one person.
I know, but I'm
I'm not
saying
saying
that,
just one
you know,
person.
we've spent millions
But you
and
guys are
millions
letting
of
them be
dollars,
impatient.
yeah, millions
I
and
mean, you
millions.
tell them no, come to the meeting, because that's what everybody else has to do when they want something.
Millions and millions of dollars have been spent over on that courthouse, and to get it to the point to where it's at, and I've said this 100 times, I know why large projects like the courthouse remodel have not been done in the past, because of how much work, time, and effort has gone into it, and about how a coat hanger can ruin somebody's day, or something not being hung up. You know, and on the other side of it is, Amy, we always have that little bunch, I work for the judges and they are telling you to do this. And then what say do we have?
Make the judges come and do it. Make the judges come and ask for it. If they're telling you that, make them do it. He wants to say it, make him do it.
I agree.
So I mean, that should have went through Craig, right? goes to court. I mean, he should have asked Craig about getting that stuff, and it should have went through.
I believe he
Craig was
did.
there,
I believe he did.
but I did not say we would pay for half. I said he needed to come to the
Right,
meeting.
yeah.
I figure if he offered to pay,
Stepping up, saying yes.
yeah, if he offered to pay for half of it, it's better than us having to pay for all of it.
All it had was a mark or two on it.
We had also asked everybody to take everything down in that building and assume that if you left it there and you did not need it for a year, you no longer needed it anymore.
Exactly.
And then now everybody moves back in and they're wondering why, hey, my walls are painted, everything looks great. Oh, I need a whiteboard that wasn't there. Can't help that. So, but hopefully we get the signage done over there and that project is done. Get some bathrooms opened up
We
first.
gotta get the windows covered first. Blinds.
Blinds, yeah.
It'd be nice that'd get done soon. Floors waxed.
Yep, move on to the next one.
You think the people that occupy the jail are gonna be as much of a pain about the jail roof as courthouse project's been?
Who knows?
I'm just wondering, is that water or is that something extra in that jar?
If you were here on time, you would have been in that discussion already.
So now it just have to,
I just
whatever,
took the
whatever
edge
you
off.
think.
How's that?
Or you're just using it for shock value on the live stream?
Yeah.
What's that mason jar?
Nobody likes Mike.
I also have a budget, so you want to do them now or you want to wait until?
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes. I think we can wait. When they just really need to be signed, right, Amy? Or we have some topics of discussion on the budget?
I don't know, whatever you guys wanted to do. Did anybody look at them that I sent them to?
I didn't have time.
I looked through a couple attachments. The only thing I really wanted to make sure is what increase the commissioners and council were requesting themselves on there.
Yeah, I
And
just
if
had
it-
some questions, I mean, no, not a big deal, but yeah, we'll talk.
We can talk about it then here. Few. As soon as he's done signing this paperwork, then we'll be ready for you. Just so you are aware, our meetings are live streamed now on YouTube, so everything that is being said will be on the internet now.
That's good.
Yep, I think so too.
We ready?
Yep, come on. Whoever wants to, sorry, I was reading something, so he got,
I seem to be it.
sorry about that.
Tag either.
Welcome back. I know
Okay,
you.
thank you. You all know me. I'm Janine Ostendorf, founder and president of CARE. I want to go ahead and introduce, we've got some of our officers here today. Our vice president, Avery Perkinson, and our vice president of our board of directors, Lori Vanover. And then our secretary treasurer is Gayla Crow. Okay, since April the 14th, we have met all your requests, and we have engaged with the sheriff about animal control in Ripley County. We've gone to the Board of Health, we spoke with the Board of Health, and we went to Ripley County Council. After discussing the animal situation in Ripley County with council, we asked them to consider establishing an animal control officer position in their budget process this year for 2026. It is important to note that Ripley County has not held any low-cost rabies clinics in recent years. I don't know how many years ago it's been since they've had one. Does anyone know? It's been a long time.
Not sure.
Many pet owners that we have talked to, all of us, and we've talked to many because we had our fundraiser in June and we had a lot of people. Many pet owners, they enjoy this service and they used it in the past and they're wondering where it went and why we don't have it. We need the county's cooperation so that we can work together to initiate these low-cost clinics. We have provided you with binders filled with information, documents, and photos that we hope will be beneficial in advocating for an animal control officer and in amending the animal ordinances of Ripley County. Most counties provide animal control officers and operate county-owned shelters. In your binders, we have included 5 months of data, including the intake from the dog warden and all the community surrenders. We sincerely hope that this information that we give you will be recognized and you'll see the pressing need and encourage you guys to approach council to appropriate the funds necessary to make this happen. We understand that our requests for improved animal control in our county may be tiresome to hear. We also know the sensitive financial requirements necessary for Ripley County to comply with the standards of the vast majority of Indiana counties. And I went through all Indiana counties, and there's only 3 that don't have animal control officers, and we're the only one that's listed online as having a dog warden. Currently, Ripley County relies on a part-time dog warden and a stipend of $15,000 a year to our local privately owned humane society. While this solution offers substantial economic savings for our county, it does not adequately address the needs of our residents. Despite the best efforts of our part-time warden and our local humane society, they are insufficient to meet the needs of the 7 cities and towns and over the 29,000 residents of Ripley County. We are more than willing to meet with you, organize, assist, do research, anything that we can do to improve the animal welfare in Ripley County. And we thank you for your time and your consideration. And we hope that you will take the time to really look over what we got. And I just briefly went on Facebook this morning and there was 5 missing today on my timeline, or on my, when I was scrolling. I just scrolled through real fast. 5 dogs, 1 cat, 4 dogs, 1 cat on my timeline today.
With that what?
Just this morning, that's gone missing here in Ripley
Missing, okay,
County.
I didn't hear the missing part.
Yeah, just gone missing here in Ripley County. It's a bigger problem. I mean, if you don't do Facebook, you probably don't know. And if you don't follow CARE, you probably won't see all the animal posts that's up, but there's tons. There's tons. It's a bigger problem than what most people realize. And we have partnered with Ripley County Humane Society. We intend to help them as much as possible because they're doing a fantastic job for all of us. And the rabies clinic thing, we need to bring that back. There's got to be a way with our organization and our fundraisers, and we qualify for grants because we're nonprofit. We want to work with the county and make this happen to make Ripley County a better, safer place, not just for the pets, because these diseases are zoonotic, and people can get them and have, and thousands died of COVID. So it's something we need to open our eyes to and really be aware. And, we just kind of dump these binders in your lap, but really take the time to look at them, and we would like to come back next month and see what you think.
So, not a pet owner, so don't hold that against me.
I won't hold that against you.
What's the five missing animals, what would a animal control officer, where would that come into play for a missing pet? What would they do for that? That's what I don't understand.
Well, animal control officers, they do a lot of things, but on a missing pet, they would help try to find that pet's home.
So an animal control officer.
Yeah, they would actively try to find it.
So if somebody had a missing pet, they would notify.
I'm friends with other counties and friends with other directors of other counties, of their county-owned shelters, and their ACOs, their animal control officers, they do many things. Not only reunite, they really do try to reunite the pet if it's a lost pet. But a lot of times they just don't. Well, in that case, then they go to the county shelter. And a lot of times they're euthanized. We don't have a county shelter, so what we have is our dog warden, which his facility, and don't get me wrong, I like Perry Hardy. He's a good man, and he's doing the best he can do with what he's got to work with, but he's really not well adapted to do what he needs to do. He don't have the knowledge, he don't have the authority, and I don't know even if he would want the authority, even if, he would go get certified and qualified, and the sheriff would deputize him. I don't even know if he would really want that authority. That authority gives you permission to go on someone's property and check in and investigate if you get a report that this dog is being starved or not being fed or whatever. There's going to be a lot of reports. We get reports like that. We can't really, our hands are tied. We can't really do anything. The county can do something. The county can see to it that we can fix this.
When you said you spoke with the sheriff's department, do you think that they're open to deputizing somebody?
Yes, he told me if they would, as long as they're qualified.
I'll make the thing, if anybody on Facebook or YouTube is watching right now and wants to volunteer for this position, I would surely entertain it to get you deputized and do this. If there's a huge need, I think we need a volunteer to step up to the plate.
There is a huge need. I'm surprised that.
But I can't speak on behalf of council. I mean, if we want to just throw additional full-time before we sign our budget, a full-time position in there and have them do it. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, regardless of what we do, if this is going to be a paid position, we can't do, our hands are tied of all the logistics on what the person would do or what responsibilities they have until council approves that position.
Right, that's
Exactly.
If it's under that's where we kind of went with that. If it was going to be under the sheriff's purview, then they should spearhead getting somebody hired for it. And I mean, if you're looking.
Well, the position, we don't have the position, nobody has even made the position in Ripley County. We've always had the dog warden, as long as I can remember. I've been here 35 years this time. So.
Yeah.
How much money do you think this person should make? And are they full-time or part-time?
Right now, what are you paying the dog warden right now?
I don't know, I have to look it up. Amy's got it right there.
16,000?
Think about what we make. I think it's 23.
23,000.
So what do you
Plus
think?
he gets mileage, right? And then the county's paying and county pays for the euthanizations. And
So
what
I'm
about
just
vet
talking
bills?
about, that's already in the budget.
Okay.
How much does it, if I put in a request for our budget for a animal control person, is it full-time?
Most of them are.
Okay, full-time?
And most counties have more than one.
So full-time, what does that salary need to be?
That would have to be researched.
Well,
I mean, I'm saying, we change this, I have to. put
I'd
this-
say
These are the questions that council is going to.
Yeah,
Right.
so is what I'm
it's
saying.
going to be
like-
between 25 and 30,000.
So, I mean, ultimately.
And that would be a low
We
number.
sign budgets today, and I can literally go in there and cross Hardy's or Perry's salary out, put a request in for a animal control officer, and a request on salary,
Right?
okay? And I'll tell you, benefits, if they, benefits and stuff like that, you're talking they're $25,000 if they're a full-time employee that can get benefits. Minimum $25,000.
If they're full-time, they will get county benefits then?
But you're talking another additional, so if you pay them $50,000 a year, it's gonna cost the
Be-
taxpayers another
right.
$25,000.
Right,
Talking, another 31,000.
Exactly. It's not cheap.
you're right.
But, and then in that
It's
case,
family insurance.
Yeah.
if that's the case, and we can put it in our budget and request it, and then when council does budget hearings, you'd be more than welcome to schedule
Right.
time and ask for that, because ultimately that decision comes down to them. If they
Right.
fund it, then I think we can deal with the logistics and the responsibility and things like
I
that.
think
But,
what the minimum county, the basic county salary is 7,000 a year. So if it's full-time position, you're looking at
It should be that.
37,000 plus the 31. So it's going to be 65,000 for us to put in a budget if we want to hire somebody full-time.
Based off of the research that I did, the median average yearly salary in 2021 for an animal control officer was anywhere between $31,000 and $48,000.
Yeah.
I mean, we can put it, that, as what we're doing, is,
Right.
I mean, that's,
That's a start.
Yeah.
I mean, that when I spoke to council, I told them, I know that it's not in the budget, because it's never happened here. But my question again, and all the people who ask me these same questions is, why is Ripley County the only one that don't have animal control? Why is Ripley County the only one that's not doing anything about rabies, low-cost rabies,
So
I
you got a lot of information there that kind of, I've had some questions on. So you keep referring to the low-cost rabies. Is that something that this animal control officer would set up and
No,
take
that's
care of?
something that has to be set up by a licensed, accredited local veterinarian. I've been in contact with local veterinarians, and they really don't want to do it because they would rather the people come and pay 45, anywhere from 35.
if you want the animal though, shouldn't you? Shouldn't a respectable animal owner be going to the vet and making sure all those,
Only if you could get your dog in the car.
I mean,
The rabies vaccination
Exactly.
is required by statute,
yeah.
actually. And if you
It's
harbor a dog
Indiana
that
But
has-
if you can't afford to feed it and you can't afford to get it shots, then you shouldn't have the dog.
Well, that's why they're dumping them. That's why they dump
That's
them.
why they're all over the streets. Okay,
That's
so
why-
I just have a
Yes.
question. My question, because my sister was an animal control officer in Switchland County for years. So once we have this animal control officer, where are they supposed to take these animals? Because we don't have a facility for
No,
them.
you do not have a facility, but you do
So not
have.
only are you gonna have to, I'm just saying this, I love my
Be a
dog.
devil's
so-
advocate.
Well, first of all, I think you're putting the cart before the horse, that council, that
I'm just being an auditor right now.
Yeah, I understand.
So like you hire an animal control officer, then you gotta have a building put him in, or her in.
The building you're currently using here in this county is not good. It's not good. Where Perry takes them and holds them, because there's been instances that there's been parvo, and there's been parvo in that building, and it's got a dirt floor, and trust me, you cannot get it out of there.
Where's that building at?
At his home,
So it's his own personal building?
yes,
Okay.
yes. And
That's
that,
all
that's
I'm saying.
totally,
Yeah.
it's totally, what we're trying to do is improve animal welfare as well as human relation welfare, because
But I'm not sure, this is where I push back, I'm not sure we need government for that.
it's.
I think we need nonprofits and people that want to spend their,
Nonprofits are more
because
than
I'll tell you, I
that help.
don't, okay, I understand that, but like I said, I just have a hard time sitting here saying, we need government to solve the problem. We need
Why does
government to
every
do this.
county-
Because they have the same thing we have, but we call ours the dog warden. I have said this 100 times.
Do
and
not
we're-
have the same thing
I
as we
we-
have.
I think we need to
Sorry, but
make
I
a.
disagree with that.
I think we need to make a motion
I
right now.
strongly
Excuse me.
disagree with
Excuse me, this is my meeting. I think we need to make a motion to change the title of the current dog warden to the animal control officer.
You cannot, he's not certified, he's not qualified.
Is everybody on this paper here certified as to what you're telling me? Has this been dictated that, because most of the people, I'm looking on here in these documents that you've given me, 20% of the people that are on here is referring to the sheriff's department. I mean, I could add this up. Sheriff's Department, Park County, Owen County, Noble County. Yes, they have this person, but it's within the sheriff's department.
The
I'm telling you,
sheriff
like,
deputizes them so they
Yeah.
can, they go through the sheriff's department because the
I-
sheriff deputizes that officer to give him the legal authority to go check on neglect cases on private property. We have no one that can.
Here's what I'll do. I am not opposed to putting a request in for a animal control officer in our budget that wipes out Perry's position, if council funds it.
Right.
If council funds it, then we can sit down and figure out what jurisdiction that is. Because,
Right.
is what I'm doing is I'm passing the buck, because I'm not going to sit here and argue this for that if we don't even have the funding for it.
Right.
Because I'm wasting my breath, and,
Right.
and like I said, I think that if council's willing to fund it and council thinks that this is a good use of taxpayers' money, I think that's the first step on it. If they think it's a good use of taxpayers' money, then I'll figure out how to make it work. That's my commitment.
I
okay?
Googled where
I-
other counties
but-
get their funds, and it is.
And Amy's right, where's this at? There's a lot of logistics, but I'll tell you, we had a gentleman that was on county council and said the last thing a county wants to do is get into the business of a dog facility.
Right.
And we do
You
not, and
gotta-
I don't think we should have to get into the business of a,
We have
But an
got,
animal control officer is not just dogs. Like, there's
No.
any animal, snake.
but cats, snakes,
raccoon.
raccoon, wild animals. Livestock. I mean, I've been on cases where I was called and told there's dead animals. I've went and I've looked, I've witnessed, I've took pictures. I took the pictures to the sheriff's department because we have no animal control. That's where you turn to, and showed the pictures to the sheriff's department so they would go and tell this guy, you need to feed your cows. You can't let them lay there and die. You know?
and I think that's
Animal control
fully within the
takes care of all
jurisdiction of the
this.
sheriff's department.
I mean,
It really helps the sheriff's department.
I mean, honestly, if the sheriff is already putting this legwork out there, he should be coming to us saying, hey, I need some money put in place so I can hire a guy for this job. And if
He
that's
has
what,
been at these meetings, and
Yeah.
in the past, he has said that it would help his department.
Yeah, but
Because
I mean-
we done a study on how many animal-related calls went through dispatch, and it averaged just one a day
so.
for an animal.
I took
to the
over the
sheriff.
first of the year.
Yeah, I know
And the
you did.
sheriff has been here requesting a maintenance man.
Right,
He's not said one word about an animal control officer.
okay.
So, I mean, if we put the money in the budget for an animal control officer, he's gonna have to initiate that.
Right.
And then, I mean, he's gonna have to manage him, and he's gonna have to work out a lot of logistics. All we can do is put the money in the budget if it's approved by council.
Right.
So there's a lot more, I'm not gonna manage an animal control officer. The sheriff is gonna have to do that. So he needs to
Right.
be on board and make sure that he's willing to do that.
From my understanding, he was
Right.
on board as long as they're
And
qualified and
I'm sure
certified.
I'm not
He said he didn't want to deputize somebody that wasn't qualified and
I
certified,
get
and I
that.
totally understand
Yeah.
that.
100%, but
And
he.
that day that we had that
Yeah.
discussion, Rob was here beside
Yeah,
me.
I'm
And I told him,
not-
I can qualify by weekend, Rob.
I'm not
I don't want to be
sure,
the animal control officer.
you know, I'm not sure that, I think the closest thing of anyone managing an employee or that is of that level has to be the sheriff's department.
It does.
Yeah, but he needs
does.
to stand right there and say he's willing to take on that responsibility.
And
Yeah.
a great example here is they've included an example application from the city of Indianapolis
Right.
under the animal control officer needs. And it's pretty interesting to read the qualifications.
Right.
Pretty significant.
Yeah, Perry doesn't really qualify, so you can't just change his title.
But I also,
Well,
with this
we can change the title and he can either get.
And he can get qualified. Yes,
or.
he can.
Yes, that's
Yes,
so,
he
yeah,
could.
it's not
Right.
something that
It's
we can
not hard,
just change the
yeah.
title and say, hey, you're here at
Yeah,
TAG, you're it.
Right, yeah.
You know, we need to make sure he has the opportunity to become that person if he wants to.
Yeah.
He may not want to do that.
Yeah, he may not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to. You know, 20 years ago, I would
Right,
have jumped
yeah.
at it, but no, not now, not this point in my life I would want to do it. Needs to be somebody young.
I mean, and I'm not counting Perry out. It's not an easy job as to what he does for
No,
what he gets
what he's
compensated to
doing,
do.
he needs to
And he's my
commend-
appointment. I will
Right.
stick up for Perry.
Oh, I am
He does
too.
the best to his ability with the resources that he is given.
I did say
Okay?
that earlier.
Yeah.
He is
And,
doing an absolute
I mean, because I'll tell you,
wonderful
I
job.
wouldn't do it because I would have a whole different
as far
approach
as
that
the
would not be
facility
humane
in
on
our
how to
county,
handle the
I
situation.
don't know how many of you have actually been to Ripley County Humane Society and checked out their facility in person, but that we have a wonderful facility that we can utilize.
No, they need to change their
Yeah,
bylaws.
but we don't own that building.
No, you do not own anything there. I understand that totally. You know, I know that you don't but we're lucky in Ripley County that we do have a building and a director of that building that would be willing to work with the county. So there's that. They do work with the county. They take everyone from Perry that they possibly got room
So
for.
I think, like Mark said, our first step is that we will put the money, I mean, I think we agree. I
And we
agree
can't
with
save
Mark.
all. We know that
So, I
there's
mean,
going to
are
be
we
a certain
agreeing
amount
to
of them
put
that's
some
got to
money
be
in the budget and
utilized.
see what happens with the council? And
Right.
if they approve it, then we will start working
Then-
on how we're gonna do what we're gonna do.
That's a huge step, just asking council, because, you know, I went to council, but it's not my job to ask council. But I did.
They work just as much for you as they do us.
Don't you all? Don't you all?
But I mean, and like I said,
Again, back to, I just Googled it because my granddaughter, she always tells me, if you don't know, Grandma, Google it. I Googled it and I thought, where does the funds come from? Why is it so funny that all these other counties have this, you know, and we don't? Why? I mean, we've got Ripley County Community Foundation that could give grant money toward all this. I mean, there's no reason why Ripley County can't do this, other than that we just really need to knuckle down and do it.
Fair enough. So the first step, we're making the first step.
Okay, we are, and I'm glad to hear it. And thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time and your consideration. I really appreciate it.
Can I say something?
yes, ma'am.
You were saying if you can't afford a dog, you shouldn't have one. Well, what about this little old lady here that's on a fixed income, and I've got a dog, but if I could save money to go get a rabies shot at a clinic, what would be wrong with helping the elderly? Because elderly people a lot of times like to have an animal with them because it's like a companion to them.
Well, and I think that,
Let's try to show a little compassion
Yeah.
to people that, you know, maybe they can't afford all those.
but I don't think it's Ripley County taxpayers' job to decide whether we should have discounted rabies or whether we should have discounted flu shots
Well, if
for humans.
it's-
Okay, that's where,
On the list number 16, it says you're supposed to establish rabies clinics.
Rabies
in this
control
county.
projects.
well, then I would speak with the health officer, because as far as I'm concerned, that's exactly the reason why we have a health board and a health officer. If
They
that's,
did put out that they recommended,
Yeah.
they put it on Facebook,
Right.
that
Right after I
everybody
met with
should
them.
make sure that they get their animals.
Immunized, because
And
rabies
rabies
is coming,
shots.
making
yeah,
it.
that is, but that's the reason why we have a health board and a health officer and a health department, is to address those type of
In the
issues.
same instance, we have people that ignore that, just like they ignore a lot of the laws, but they're not getting penalized for that.
Now, if people abided by the laws and did the right thing, neither one of us would be having this conversation right now, because one, there would be no stray dogs, and two, people wouldn't be dumping dogs, and we would, if people would take responsibility for their actions, we wouldn't even be having the conversation. But unfortunately, there's bad players out there that create this problem.
Well, I
So-
don't think there's nothing, with what you said, I don't think there's nothing wrong. I mean, it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you can take advantage of a low-cost situation,
I
that's
would-
fine. But being government subsidized is a different situation.
That's
So
what-
if somebody can set up a low-cost clinic and not be subsidized by the county, then I'm all for it. But to sit back, and I think, I don't want to speak for Mark, but I think he's getting to the point where it shouldn't be a county subsidized, low-cost rabies
But
clinic.
it's-
Why is it on your
but
website?
Somebody, yeah, it is on your website.
It says the county has to
That's a
fund it.
recommendation.
It's a recommendation, it's number 16, you got 32 of them under your website, under duties, commissioner duties, and number 16 says, establish an animal shelter and provide rabies control projects. That's word for word what it says.
That's not government subsidized. That's totally different wording. That is making it available to the people of the county by having a clinic that does not say we're gonna pay for it.
Making it available, and,
Yeah.
and
used
we
to,
can,
but what happened to it?
I don't know, I don't know.
they haven't been there long enough.
Yeah.
Mark hasn't really been there long enough because they haven't done them while these guys have been in. It's,
The last time it was probably done was when there was when there was a veterinarian on the health board, on the health department involved that actually probably did it.
Yeah.
and it was Harley Robinson.
Yes.
And it's been years.
Yeah, but things change within the health department, and I think it's, I would strongly take it up to the health board and the health department, like the actual health board.
Part of it.
The health department got plenty of money they can spend on that type of stuff. Your taxes go towards that. If that's important to you, I'd bring it up to the health board.
People, because if somebody gets bit by a rabid animal, we don't care what kind it is, you know, they're gonna die if they don't get proper.
Right, if you get
Help.
symptoms from rabies, if you have a symptom from rabies,
It's too late.
it's
But when was the last rabies, when was the last rabies case in the area?
Decatur County last fall, it was a brown bat that was tested positive.
I think more people died of other illnesses in our
Well, I'm
counties
sure
than
they
that,
did.
you
More
know?
people died of COVID, but it's also
Yeah.
a zoonotic disease as well as rabies.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
There's a many, many.
I think that's what we're gonna, our next steps on this. I appreciate you ladies coming in. I always welcome people to bring stuff in. You ladies come in. I appreciate it.
We appreciate
You
your
know.
time and your consideration, and we really hope you take a look at our binders that Avery made. She worked hard on these.
Yeah.
Yes, they're
Might put a lot of work into these.
very, very nice.
And actually, you know, as far as the low-cost rabies clinic, we would be glad to provide funds for it. We actually,
I just got a text message that says, so somebody's listening.
oh Lord,
They had discounted rabies in friendship at some point at the
I
firehouse.
was just gonna say.
okay, I wasn't aware, when do they do it though?
I don't,
Okay,
I said, who?
Yeah,
yeah, who, when, and where, yeah.
Okay.
We, Tri-County told me no, and
I don't know, it's at the Friendship Fire Department.
Okay,
I'm just getting it, I'm reading the
all right,
text message.
all right.
Well, the public don't know this.
They used to do it at the fire companies. Back when they was having them, they would go to Holton, Milan, Napoleon, they would just, and they bounce around. What I suggested when I contacted veterinarians was, why should we bounce around? If I can find a place where people can bring their dog to this location and the veterinarian don't have to bounce around all over the county, and he can bring his vaccine and his assistance to this one single place, people should come to them to get the low cost. You know, it would be, the reason we're calling it low cost, it's not that it's free. It just costs a lot less than taking your dog to the vet to get his shots. Now, I have a dog that, there's no choice. He has to have medication before he can even go to the vet. But he goes to the vet to get his shots because he's not dog friendly, he's aggressive. So he would definitely not fit in at a clinic. But most people can do these clinics with their dogs, and they just walk in, go through a line, and they get their shots, and you got these animals that are immunized. It makes the public safer because the dog has got its shots, or the cat, whichever the case may be, or ferret. They got ferrets listed in the law. I thank you for your time. We've taken up enough of your time. I really appreciate you even making a step forward to council to see what they say. That's a big
Yep.
step, right?
Thank you.
there. We appreciate that.
Again, thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you all.
Budgets.
So I have the county general budget. Was there anything that needed to be changed on it?
So now, those numbers are just carried over from last year?
Most of them, yes, unless I have them crossed out with new numbers beside them.
So, I mean, shouldn't we increase them based on the cost of living? I mean, shouldn't we?
And I have some of them, Raj. I
Okay.
have some of them.
So that's the only questions I had on them. I just wasn't sure how, I mean.
Like, is there certain ones you're
No,
like
because,
questioning?
no, I just was questioning, like, anything from last year, if we should just try to just raise it 3%.
Like the attorney fees, he brought me a new contract. He wanted a little bit of a raise.
How much?
I put your cell phones in there.
What did it put?
50,000.
So percentage-wise, you know what it percentage-wise was?
Probably around,
3%.
no,
No, probably two, was it more than that?
let's see, what I put it at, 20 something, 22? Do you recall?
I'm trying to look mine up now. I think what we spoke about at the last meeting,
It's about 5%.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think I took it up to like 28.2, which represents about, I think, $150 a month more.
But like our auto liability insurance, I did raise it. I don't know what that's going to cost. I know last year we tried, I had to add some to it, but I did shoot it up to 90,000. It was at 80, but I'm pretty sure it's probably going to go up. We've had quite a few tort claims this year. And then our utilities, I did raise. I
Okay,
went from
yeah.
10 to 15. Polling places I added because, of course, there's an election this coming year. And then the others are the nonprofits, what they asked for, if it's just highlighted and checkmarked, they sent something, they sent all their paperwork to me. But if it's marked out and they've added, they want more, or there's 2 new ones that want money.
So like the nonprofits, we had talked about that. Are we still gonna support all the nonprofits? I know we kind of talked about trying, maybe having to go away from that.
We hadn't got around to
so,
doing that.
I mean, is what's gonna happen is ultimately whatever the request is that goes to council, when we have our budget hearings with them, then we can have that discussion.
Okay.
So to go in and cut it now, because here's the problem, that if we go in and cut everything now, then Amy advertises it and it goes to the
I'm
state.
not advertising until after budget hearings.
Okay, well, so that covers that. But anyways, because that's where it's been in the past, that you don't,
Now, that was county general. Now, the only thing that I changed on edit was the Ripley County Economic Development is asking for 12% of our edit money, which is $190,000 and $1.
I'm just trying to figure out which one that is on our attachment here. Not this one, but the general.
So there are some there's a building repair line item in there. There's fairground equipment maintenance in there, or fairground money usage, which is 31,000.
And we have, and for the, what we have crossed out on this budget here is a 5% increase for commissioners and salary.
6% is what you told me.
I think it was.
Was it 6%? Okay.
I think so.
You told me 6%.
Yeah, whatever that percentage was. I know we
Yeah,
talked
we just
about.
figured up a percentage, yes, based on the 2,500,
Yes.
what it was on an average salary. Yeah.
Yeah, council's request was $2,500 per elected official, and we have bumped that down to a percentage, so that way it is across the board. I see attorney fees is up on here.
So you're changing the one on the, for the dog warden, you're gonna increase that one?
Well, what I think we should do, and just hear me out on it. Do you want to go to that one then?
So, yeah, so that's one that I don't think it
So,
should.
like, I think we should leave the line item there for dog warden.
Yeah, but
And add a line item,
for the sheriffs,
I don't have the sheriff's line.
But even if we leave the dog warden here, I don't think it needs to be the 2,500. It needs to be the percentage like ours, because he's not a full, because it should be a percentage like ours was.
I
You don't
mean,
agree?
I'll do whatever you want me to.
I mean, I don't, I think if council decides to switch over to the longevity, everything's gonna change. If they make that decision on the longevity.
That's why I'm not
Yeah, but
advertising until after budget hearings.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what you're saying, Roger, but I'm hoping that everybody that put an increase in there gets thrown out the window and they change the longevity. I just want to make sure that I'm not submitting a budget that has a 25% increase, because if I put a $2,500 increase that council asked me to do, they would be giving themselves
it's like a 12% raise.
They would be giving themselves a 30% raise, a 29.4%. They're making $8,500 per person right now. If they give themselves a $2,500 a year raise, they would be giving themselves a 29% increase.
Right.
And I don't believe that I'm going to, in good faith, submit a budget that is putting a 29% increase for an elected official. So they might disagree with that. I know that's what they asked me to do, but I will not do it. That's the reason why we stuck with the 6% across the board for commissioners and commissioners.
Well, I think,
or council.
like for the dog warden, at a $23,000 salary, getting $2,500, that's 11% increase.
Yes.
And I think that's a salary, that on a part-time or lower salary, it should be the 6%.
Yeah, and that would be the
You always
same.
you have to remember too, he's on call 24/7.
So are we.
Well, but I just don't think it's, I mean,
So am I.
Your average,
Oh, I'm just saying.
the average employee here is making the $38,000 a year. I mean, that's,
I agree with you.
so I mean, I just
I'll do
don't,
whatever you want me to
and
do.
they're
These
getting
are your
2,500.
budgets.
Yeah, let's hope that we can get it into the,
Just because we put it in here doesn't mean
No.
that we agree to pay that.
yeah.
So
I
where,
think,
so where do we put this part in that we agreed to these ladies about the,
I think we need to ask the sheriff's department to put it in their budget.
They've already,
Submitted their budget,
Are we gonna use the dog warden's salary with that?
is what I think we need to do is just take the dog warden's budget and move it into the public safety tax and eliminate that out of the general fund altogether. Because if it's going to be under the sheriff's department's purview, then it needs to be paid
and I'm
for by the
okay
public
with that,
safety
But I
tax.
think until we go to budget hearings, we've got to put it somewhere.
Okay, so
So
right
I
now,
think we should put it in this budget, I mean,
Okay.
until you guys talk to council and say that if you want to do this, I think we should put it under the sheriff, as long as he's willing and able to control that person. Like,
well, here's the deal.
You see what I mean?
Is what's going to happen if they do fund it and it is underneath his budget, it's his decision whether he fills the position or not or takes on the
and I
responsibility.
understand that, but right now it's going to be in
I-
your budget.
yes,
They approve
I
it,
understand.
So we move it to his.
Yes.
We got to make sure with him that he's even going to do
exactly,
it.
right, yeah.
Yes,
So, yeah, so you can add it to this, the dog warden budget.
yeah,
And what salary?
35,000. That's middle of the road.
Yeah. And plus the benefits will have to be there as well, so.
Yeah.
Is that all you want me to change on the dog warden?
Yes, and leave the original one in there.
I did.
Okay.
Edit.
So which one is the,
That's the hard part, Roger, is how these attachments are in here to
I
fill
have,
it.
it's 1112.
okay, that's what 1112, all right.
Sorry, I didn't put the name out.
I don't have a 1112.
I don't either.
That's why you,
We're looking at the document, scanned documents attachments, the only way we can see
okay,
it.
that's all we see, it's the document number, the last,
Let me see.
I see a 412, but that is,
Oh, it is, because that came
Yeah.
across that way. That's my bad. Let me
that's the
see.
dog warden one there, I just opened, so.
I thought I had named them. I don't know why they didn't come across that way. Sorry about that. There it is.
Okay, so it's document 308.
That's my fault, guys. I thought I named them. It must have not have just.
It's
came
all right.
through.
Did you find it there?
I'm working on it, I think. Where are you seeing your 308 at?
So it's all the way down to the bottom, so.
So Moore's Veterinary Clinic is the one that done the rabies vaccine. They done one in Rising Sun, they done one in Beebe, and they done one in Friendship.
Just scroll, push up.
Oh, okay.
Get you down there. Gotcha.
More, where are they out of?
Rising Sun.
Is that the,
Yes, Terry's daughter.
yeah, okay, yeah.
So on the edit funds, yeah, I mean, keep economic development where the request is at, council can make a decision on that. We still have the stone and bituminous in there. And then the CCMG matching grant funds are still in there. I think that can stay in there another year. Did you guys see any change on that? You guys okay with requesting the 12% for economic development?
That's what it is every year.
What the request is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So are we good with that one?
Yeah.
Yep.
No change in building repairs or anything on that nature?
Nope.
And then cube cap, which the front part is your technology, but she turned that in. So the only thing you have in it is building repairs and machinery and equipment. You have 100,000 in building repairs and 50 in machinery and equipment. Would you want to change any of that?
I think we probably should look at, for Craig, if somebody takes over that truck, then we're gonna be having to fund that, side by side out of, or, his snow removal. We need to add some money in for that.
To buy the machine?
Yeah.
Or, we might have that, wonder,
Once we've already got it covered there, I'm just
I
saying.
think we might have it, if that machinery and equipment is how much, Amy?
50,000.
Well, we have that unless we've spent some of that already. I don't think we have. So that would be we could do that this year and just leave it in there for next year.
But when you take the,
Well, if you would get an invoice or a quote by December, if you don't buy it, then I can encumber it.
Yeah. Yeah.
what do we do with revenue from the truck?
The truck, the coroner's wanting the truck.
We have a feeling a corner of the
Are we
truck's
just
probably.
gonna give it to him?
Well, if it
If it
gets,
came out of the same money,
yeah.
county general,
Well, I'm just looking, okay.
Yeah, I can see us not getting any revenue out of that truck,
Yeah, I don't.
you know.
Put it this way, if it gets used more and gets more miles on it,
Yeah.
we've done our due diligence, at least make
I
sure
mean,
the taxpayers are getting, paying for a vehicle that's not sitting getting 3,000 miles a year, it's getting,
Don't you have to buy you the vehicle though for the swap?
what?
You don't have to buy it, you just give it to him, you don't have to buy you it?
No, come out of the same budget. I mean,
County.
They both would,
State
they
board
both
of
would
accounts
have
won't
been
wanna know?
purchased it out of county general.
I mean, obviously it can be reported to them, but I think if you're filling one need with the use of a vehicle from another, and like she said, if it comes out of the same budget, there's nothing to earmark it back in and then take it out.
and if the corner gets rid
has
of
a
the
budget.
current van, there's a value that's gonna go back into our general
Okay.
fund.
I mean, the coroner has a budget and maintenance has a budget, but it's just a location, it comes out of county general.
So we've got enough money in there to cover that, snow removal then? Okay.
Yeah.
all right.
And if the vehicle were sold, just outright sold, then yeah, that money would go back into county general.
Okay,
Under these
and
circumstances.
I just
think
was
River-
thinking paper trail, that's what I was looking at. So.
I know, I mean, I do a paper trail for insurance.
Because now where's the 50,000 that we got for him to purchase it?
We have that in this year's budget, and we're gonna request that same 50,000 in next year's budget.
Okay, but what's that usually used for?
Whatever equipment they.
I think the fairgrounds,
Just
I think the
there.
fairgrounds bought that, has bought equipment for the, park out of it before. Like the skid steer was probably bought out of that fund.
Okay,
No, it was bought out of, edit money.
Okay.
So it's not been used this year yet?
I don't think
well, I'm just saying, I don't want to short Craig if he's needing something. if we're gonna-
No, I don't
That's
think
what I'm getting
this
at.
is next year, we're gonna buy them side by side, he's still gonna have $15,000 in.
So we've got the money this year to go ahead with that if we want to.
She's gonna double check.
So we're just putting it in the budget for next year, and it'll be
Yeah.
used for something totally different.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay. I'm just trying to understand.
Yep.
I didn't realize we had that money. I thought we would have to be using that for in next year's budget, so.
I think we do. That's
Belts?
We have used some of it. We have 40,400 left of it.
Okay.
Looks like we bought some highway, no, that was put back in. We bought some cameras for probably the greenhouse, circuit court, because it's equipment.
Right.
I mean, we've used a little bit of it,
Yeah.
10,000 of it.
Okay, so there's funding in there on whatever side by
Okay.
side he decides to go. Under the Belterra budget, there's that $80,000, $80,000 increase for the enterprise fleet.
We had that in there last year too, it just didn't print on
Okay.
here.
But wasn't it supposed to be a part of Kendall's deal to where that, this is?
2 years.
2 years, okay, fair enough.
I went back and listened to the
Good.
minutes to make sure of
Yeah.
it, because Lee asked me about it, and I was like, Lee, I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2. He's like, Amy, it was 2, and I was like, I don't believe you, I'm gonna go listen to the minutes, and I did, and it was 2 years. That we would pay half of that enterprise.
And then the rest of it going forward would be paid out of the sheriff's.
And that was voted on,
Yes.
motion and everything? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we could, can we override it and change it? If
I
we
mean,
could,
commissioners change, I mean, you're more than welcome to.
to trying to get that, using more of that? I mean, I don't know, I'm just
I mean,
bringing it up. We don't have to do it now, but.
I mean, anything that was done previously can probably be changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you want me to change it,
No.
or?
I think we're just, I mean, in my opinion, if we agreed to do it, I mean, if we need to bring it to a vote, but I think.
I'll be honest with you, I think the enterprise fleet thing's not a bad idea, not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing, Gordon. I truly don't.
If it was agreed
For
upon
one,
by
our
previous commissioners,
vehicles
it would
don't
be.
look like crap on the road.
Yeah,
And
it'd be
for
kinda like
two,
pulling
we're not
the-
driving
pulling the rug
pieces
out
of
from
crap
underneath
that
that.
our officers.
I think it's the right thing to do is stick with the agreement
I
that
agree.
Kendall worked out, because in all reality, instead of them just pulling the plug on it, or them saying they're gonna pay for it forward, there's an end date.
Yeah.
After next year, it's out of the budget, and then it's being paid for by then. And like I said, I think, I've asked Lee regarding the enterprise deal, that once they have their new cars, and once this thing's been in, let's bring them in and look at these numbers and see what this would have cost us if we would have, I mean.
A lot.
That's the thing,
lot.
it doesn't, if we would have bought 12 brand-new cars at $75,000, someone do the math, we got $1 million worth of cars here that's only costing us $120,000 a year.
But we had 2 of them thrown in, we wouldn't even worry about.
That's the problem with it, is because when we decided to buy, when we entered this deal, we also bought the cars that
I'm
were
gonna
already.
be completely and utterly honest, we were aware of them, because when they brought that to our attention, they said the van, they said the matron vehicle, all the vehicles would be replaced.
I never heard him mention it. I wasn't on yet, but I was at the meeting.
They would, I mean, it was mentioned, all vehicles would be replaced, would be replaced.
And I think the reality of it is, some of them were bought with the, commissary money and different things like that,
Correct.
but I think it was a total of 14 cars. That's
13 this year.
13.
All right, so what, we need to look at.
I'm not seeing any other ones.
Drug-free is the same, elected officials training's the same, retirement's the same, and endowment's the same, nothing's gonna change. Unless you want anything added to them. And we don't have to vote on them because it's just like an estimated until public.
Do we pretty much use those up every year? Those ones you're talking, the ones that haven't been changed? do
What
we-
you got?
Yeah.
That's why, those are the ones I was talking about, maybe we should increase them by 3%.
No, we don't use them.
Okay,
They're
all right.
just setting there. The drug-free, we do
Okay.
use, the elected officials training, we do use a little bit of it, but not a lot.
Okay.
But what's been setting in there, 100% of it has never been used.
Okay, all right, so we don't really need to do that then?
Yeah. The one I worry about is the county general fund,
Okay,
about making sure we raise our costs, or any fund that would have utilities in it, or
and we've got that covered.
insurance, or-
You raised that one, you raised that one,
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, anything else?
No, these just need to be signed. I mean, you can all 3 sign them, or you can just have Mark sign them, I don't care.
I feel better if we all 3 sign them.
As long as you feel better, that's all that
Makes me
matters.
feel more important.
It's all that
Mark.
matters to me, is that Jeff feels better.
Yeah. Where the hell you sign that? There you are.
Yes, we have budgets that get submitted on our behalf that we are responsible for. It is up to the county council to ultimately, at the end, make that decision. But
Oh, shoot.
I mean, if we really wanted to get crazy with how we handle our budgets, we could take the council out, take their salary out of our budget, and they can and they can approve their own budget. Because it still needs to be submitted. I've done this every year, is submitted a budget with council's information.
So on the animal control officer, you got 35,000. Do you need to add something for the benefits, or did you do?
They'll come
we
out,
wanna
if
change
we
the
do
name
that,
of
it'll
it?
come out of the commissioner's
It don't need to be,
budget, like,
okay.
it don't need to be added.
It don't need to be added, okay.
I don't think it'll ever get approved, but
Yeah,
that's
I got
just
you.
my opinion.
Well, would he be on the commissioner's table or
We
possibly
need to
sheriff's?
ask Paul.
It would be under the sheriff's department if it were to,
Could be either, maybe.
Right now, it's in the county general, and it would but if that's where they kept it and where they wanted it to stay, so they could keep it separated from the sheriff, it's gonna come out of the commissioner's budget. If it goes into the sheriff's budget, then it will come out of the sheriff's budget, and we will have to add it to the benefits.
So maybe it should be part-time animal control / maintenance.
What's considered part-time, 32 hours?
28.
28, is that low? I thought-
Yeah. You know, Ms. Ossendorf referred to that line number 16, and on your website, you do have general powers and duties.
yeah.
And basically, it states examples of the functions of the Board of County Commissioners include auditing and authorizing claims, receiving bids, supervising construction, maintenance of roads, exercising the county's power of eminent domain, but you rarely try to do that. 16 basically states establishing animal shelters and rabies control projects. But even the statute that talks about animal shelters basically states that a local unit may establish an animal shelter and authorize, the euthanization of animals. So, and as far as abandonment or neglect of vertebrate animals,
State law pretty much covers
it does, and actually, this is interesting, this is under family law and juvenile work, juvenile law, it talks about like, if a caseworker with the Division of Children's Services shows up at a house, if during the assessment, a caseworker observes or has reason to believe that an animal is a victim of animal cruelty, abandonment, or neglect, the caseworker may make a report of the observed or suspected animal cruelty, abandonment, neglect to the local law enforcement agency, the local animal control officer. So still local law enforcement is kind of your go-to position on that if you have neglect, abandonment, cruelty to an animal, so.
And I will tell you, like, from what my sister has been the animal control officer in Jefferson County and Switzerland, in both jurisdictions, she was under the commissioners.
Not law enforcement? Did she operate under a separate ordinance that they had established for that?
I don't remember. But I'm just telling you who she reported to.
But was she deputized to be able to go on grounds?
I'm assuming she was, because she did.
So how would the commissioners have control of somebody that's deputized?
I think that either being a reserve officer or a special deputy or a deputy has to come through the authority of the sheriff's office.
So we covered everything?
I think we need to
Anything
clean
else?
these chairs up here because I'm watching this video and there's just a pile of chairs here in the video. Kind of looks silly.
Yeah, I tried to get that to come up, I couldn't get it to come up.
Looks like it's a delay.
Very delayed.
these chairs up here because I'm watching this video, there's a pile of chairs here in the video.
Big, that's delayed.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 It's off.
I just turned it off, so hopefully it's off.
Not yet.
There we go. It's not.
More